Important update about YouTube playlists. Hey everyone. We've received many messages asking why our YouTube playlists aren't showing up. Do we create YouTube playlists? Yes, we absolutely do. So why can't you see them? Honestly, we're not sure. We've been in contact with YouTube support for several months now, but we still haven't received a clear answer or solution. After much discussion, our team has decided to take matters into our own hands. We believe the issue might be related to the number of playlists we've created on a single channel, possibly too many. Our solution? We're launching 2 additional YouTube channels, giving us a total of 3. This way, we can organize our audiobooks better and avoid the playlist visibility issue in the future. This change only affects our YouTube audience. If you're a patron supporter, you can still access all our audiobooks by visiting the collection menu on Patreon. Thanks so much for your time and continued support. Happy listening. Tears flowed uncontrollably down her cheeks, soaking into Guy's shirt as she clung to him desperately. Sensing her distress, he gently wrapped one arm around her waist to steady her, while his other hand moved to stroke her hair soothingly. His touch was gentle yet firm, offering silent comfort and reassurance. As he held her close, Guy's presence seemed to envelop Nino in a cocoon of safety, gradually calming her racing heart and quieting her sobs. Thank you so much. If not for your intervention, we would likely have perished here. Kasumi and Mai bowed deeply in gratitude. There's no need to thank me, I was more than capable of handling the situation. In fact, if you ever encounter powerful curses in the future that are beyond your abilities, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'm always ready and willing to lend my power, no matter the challenge. This offer presented another channel for information, following the private Devil Hunter forum. The 2 girls exchanged contact information, pleasantly surprised. After all, Guy was a special grade Jujutsu sorcerer. He could solve 99% of their current problems. They no longer worried about graduating from Jujutsu High. We'll take our leave now. Take care. Kasumi and Mai bid their farewells. Guy asked, looking down at Nino for her opinion. Can we go to your place first? I don't want to worry them. Sure. He replied with a shrug. My legs feel weak. Nino replied, her voice trembling slightly. Guy nodded understandingly. After a quick nod to the other 2, he scooped her up and rose into the air, surrounded by invisible hands to protect from the rain. Their figures vanished from Kasumi and Mai's sight. Skywalking, Chapter 20, Nino's Curiosity. Splash, splash. An invisible hand shielded them from the rain's pitter-patter. Guy, carrying Nino, walked on air and gently landed on the balcony. Send a message to Miku and the others so they don't worry. Still dazed, Nino clung tightly to his collar, not yet recovered from the shock of the cursed spirit attack and their aerial journey. Her fair, flawless face bore faint traces of tears. Only after Guy stroked her head for a while did she gradually regain her composure. Sorry. Realizing her lapse, she hurriedly stood up, turned away to fix her makeup, and restarted her phone to report her safety to Miku and the others. Gurgle gurgle. In the empty living room, the sound of her hungry stomach was particularly noticeable. She hadn't had a chance to eat dinner before encountering the cursed spirit attack. Now that things had calmed down, she felt drained of all strength, a normal reaction after experiencing extreme mental tension. I have some rice balls left. Would you like? Guy gestured towards the kitchen refrigerator, seeking her opinion. Thank you, Guy-kun. She stood up quickly to express her gratitude. He waved his hand and went into the kitchen to heat up the rice balls. Watching his back in the kitchen, Nino stared blankly. If not for today's encounter with the cursed spirit, she might never have imagined that Miku's boyfriend was hiding such a mysterious identity. According to Kasumi and Mai, Guy was now considered a special grade Jujutsu sorcerer. In the entire Jujutsu community, those who could rival him could be counted on one hand. For Miku to have encountered such a mysterious person, Nino didn't know whether to call it lucky, or buzz. The phone screen vibrated. She unlocked it to find a message from Miku. Mikune, 30, are you staying at Guy-kun's house now? Do you need us to send a driver to pick you up? Nino panicked and quickly typed. No need, I'll ask Guy-kun later. If it's really not possible, I'll stay here for the night. Huh? Miku, in the luxury apartment, was stunned when she saw this message. Itsuki and the others' gazes simultaneously focused on her. After all, Guy was her boyfriend, and even she hadn't been to his house. Now Nino had not only gone there but was also planning to stay overnight. Miku didn't say anything outwardly, but her brows furrowed imperceptibly. Her sister probably realized the inappropriateness after sending this message and hurriedly explained. Nino ne, secondi, the rain outside is too heavy, and it's dark. I'm worried about accidents. Though Guy had dealt with cursed spirits and devils, Nino couldn't forget the zombie-like monster she'd encountered in that small alley. She was also concerned about potential accidents if they drove in these conditions. Miku then typed, "I see, then I'll let Kikan know, Nino ne, secondly. But wait a bit, he's heating up food in the kitchen." Nino finished chatting with Miku and glanced at the figure in the kitchen again. Even from behind, Dki's presence was reassuring. Perhaps it was due to the extraordinary abilities he'd displayed earlier, effortlessly dealing with both cursed spirits and devils. Nino, who had been apprehensive before, now found herself feeling surprisingly at ease in this space. She took in her surroundings once more. The room was clean and minimalist, devoid of unnecessary clutter. This was her first time in a boy's room. A tantalizing aroma wafted from the kitchen into the living room. The scent of seaweed mingled with a subtle plum fragrance, whetting her appetite. Moments later, Dki emerged from the kitchen carrying rice balls and sushi. Delicious. Nino murmured, savoring a rice ball. The sweetness of the rice harmonized perfectly with the refreshing plum flavor. Compared to this, the gourmet dishes she'd eaten before seemed overly rich. How could simple rice balls taste so exquisite? Dki-kun, did you make these? Yes. They're really delicious. If you like them, have some more. He replied with a smile, while simultaneously discussing Nino's accommodation with Miku. The living room soon settled into a comfortable quietude. Nino, her beautiful eyes shimmering, nibbled on the rice balls like a hamster. The scene felt oddly domestic, reminiscent of a married couple's daily life. Yet, she couldn't shake the thought that it should be Miku here instead of her. A pang of guilt struck her, as if she'd inadvertently encroached on Miku's territory. Miku just told me you'd like to stay here for the night. Is that okay? It's fine, I'll tidy up the room next door later. Hearing this, Nino felt a wave of relief. In truth, she could have asked Dki to escort her back to the luxury apartment. However, she worried about potential dangers he might face on his return journey. Despite his undeniable strength, who could guarantee that nothing unexpected would occur? The bathroom's over there, and I've got a clean white shirt for you. Nino nodded appreciatively. Dki stepped next door to quickly tidy up the room. Upon returning to his bedroom, he began browsing forums while chatting with Miku. Back at the luxury apartment, Miku's expression darkened visibly. Though she knew their relationship was purely platonic for now, because there is no active sexual relationship and kisses don't count, she couldn't help feeling uneasy. After all, she was the official girlfriend, yet Nino had claimed the first overnight stay at Dki's place. This won't happen again, she thought, gritting her teeth. Determined, Miku began plotting her own sleepover at his house. In Dki's bathroom, Nino finished her shower. Her cherry red hair, now waist-length, cascaded down her back like a waterfall. She wore a slightly oversized white shirt that revealed her fair, smooth legs, their skin as flawless as finely carved jade. Dki-kun, I'm going to rest now. Alright, the hair dryer is in the room next door. Nino went to the adjacent room and dried her hair. Soon after, lying in the soft, comfortable bedding, she inhaled a reassuring scent. This white shirt. Its faint, elegant fragrance. It's just like Dki-kun's. She murmured, gently breathing in the scent from the collar. A pang of guilt struck her. No. I shouldn't do this. He's Miku's boyfriend. She chided herself, but I'm just curious. One more time, and that's it. Unable to resist her curiosity, Nino buried her face in the bedding. As she breathed in the comforting aroma, she gradually drifted off to sleep. Chapter 21, Sneaking a Snack the next day at Sobu High School. Nino, you scared us to death. We thought you'd been kidnapped by some ransom-demanding robbers. Akika immediately embraced Nino warmly upon seeing her. Thank goodness you ran into Dki. Who knows what might have happened otherwise. But how did you get lost so close to home? Itsuki pondered, unable to come up with an answer. Yotsuba couldn't suppress a silly grin at Nino's return. Where's Miku, by the way? Nino scanned the area, finding no trace of her sister. Oh, her? She might be having a secret rendezvous with Dki. Akiko chuckled, covering her mouth as if amused by the thought. She failed to notice Nino's smile stiffen momentarily. Indeed, Miku and Dki were the real couple. She was merely a passerby who had stumbled into his world by accident. Her eyes dimmed slightly as her smile faded. Sensing her mood, Itsuki and the others refrained from pressing further. We should avoid going out at night from now on, Nino advised, her expression turning unpleasant as if recalling something. Is that so? No problem. Though unaware of the specific reason, they knew Nino wouldn't complain without cause. She must have encountered something the previous night. Why else would she bring this up suddenly? After a moment's consideration, Akika and the others nodded in agreement, smiling. Meanwhile, Miku and Dki walked to the middle of the hallway. When they were alone, Miku leaned in and subtly inhaled his scent, as if checking for any trace of Nino. To her relief, she detected nothing. What happened to Nino last night? She asked softly, embracing him. Her sister and Gi hadn't interacted, yet Nino simply disappeared last night and went to his apartment. As much as she wanted to believe it was an emergency, it was still very strange. She encountered some trouble. It's best to avoid going out at night from now on. Gi's hand gently caressed her waist, his fingers tracing the soft, smooth texture of her tights. Next weekend, I want to stay at your place too. Miku looked up, her expression serious as she lightly bit her lip. All right. His fingers applied slightly more pressure, causing the fabric of her black tights to shift beneath his touch. Gi. Her soft, vulnerable voice ignited a playful urge in him. They remained there until the class bell rang, then reluctantly returned to their respective classrooms. Time flew by, and before they knew it, evening had fallen. The persistent rain drew complaints from many. Soaked cherry blossom petals littered the ground, their brief beauty cut short. Upon returning to their luxurious apartment, Itsuki and the others felt an immediate sense of relief. Home at last. Another day, another round of failing grades. Ugh, my test scores aren't passing either. Wait, Miku's grades have improved significantly. She even passed history? Miku. We agreed to progress together. How dare you leave us behind? Akika's eyes widened as she examined Miku's report card. Previously, all 5 sisters had failed their exams together. Now, Miku's unexpected success in history, a notoriously difficult subject, shocked even Nino, despite her sour mood. Observing her improved scores across all subjects, the other 4 sisters encircled her with stern expressions. Confess. Miku, have you been secretly studying at night behind our backs? Akika demanded, her gaze fixed intently on her sister. Miku, don't be so competitive. Isn't it better if we all study happily together? Yotsuba pleaded, her eyes brimming with tears as she put on a pitiful expression. Itsuki and Nino exchanged helpless glances. I didn't do anything in secret. Stop accusing me. Miku retorted angrily, her cheeks puffed out in frustration. Then how do you explain your grades? Akika asked, pointing at the passing subjects on the report card. That's because Gi and I often go to the library. Miku replied, annoyed at her sister's distrust. Akika's eyes widened in sudden realization. Huh? You actually study there? I thought you just went to find a quiet place to date. Miku opened her mouth to refute but hesitated. In truth, they had initially gone to the library to research historical military figures together. She'd discovered that Gi was surprisingly knowledgeable about the topic. As they continued to meet, they gradually became more familiar with each other. Over time, their discussions branched out into various subjects. It wasn't until the exam that Miku realized how much she had learned. Although she still failed some subjects, there was a significant improvement overall. Come to think of it. Itsuki interjected, Gi's grades this time seemed to be in the top 10 of our year. The other 3 sisters immediately felt a sense of crisis. If this continued, wouldn't they fall further behind Miku? This didn't align with the quintuplets oath. That's amazing. Yotsuba exclaimed sincerely. Hearing this, Nino secretly pouted, it's just an ordinary achievement, you haven't seen Gi's true talents yet. She recalled his excellent cooking skills. Why had she never heard Miku mention them? Could it be that she was still unaware? Perhaps Gi didn't like to show off his abilities. After all, he possessed such great talent but had never displayed it openly. Yet she had accidentally witnessed his true capabilities. As these thoughts swirled in her mind, Nino felt a strange sensation in her heart. Even as midnight approached, she found herself tossing and turning, unable to sleep. Don't think weird thoughts. He's Miku's boyfriend. She scolded herself, shaking her head. She decided to get a bottle of water from the fridge to calm her nerves. As she approached the door, a faint noise caught her attention. Nino, still haunted by her recent fear, trembled slightly. She worried that the monster might have followed her to the apartment. Mustering her courage, she cracked open the door and peered into the living room. And what she saw made her face fall. In the darkness, she could clearly hear Itsuki and Akika arguing in hushed voices. Don't snatch it. This is my dish. Akika whispered urgently. Humphrey. Itsuki retorted, do you dare swear that this is really yours? Chapter 22, The Thrill of Sneaking a Bite. Itsuki, stop it. There are only 3 rice balls left. Akika lost her patience at the sight of her sister's stuffed cheeks and busy hands, left hand clutching a rice ball, right hand reaching into the lunchbox. Such greedy and shameless behavior was too much. Let go. Show some respect for your big sister. Keep it down. Itsuki hissed, don't let Miku and the others hear us. How would you explain? The 2 of them were making a ruckus in the dark living room. Pinned down, Itsuki's reminder gradually quieted them. Just as she was about to speak again, the rice ball in her hand vanished. This unexpected turn startled the two little sneaks, absorbed in their scuffle. "What on earth are you two doing up so late?" Nino scolded, arms crossed and frowning. In her right hand was Itsuki's lost rice ball. "Aren't you afraid of waking up with rough skin and a face full of pimples tomorrow?" Itsuki and Akika instinctively glanced towards Miku's room. Fortunately, their commotion hadn't disturbed her. Unfortunately, it seemed Nino had discovered their secret snacking. "Come on, tell me what's going on here." Her foot tapped the floor as she looked down at the two on the ground. Nino casually popped the rice ball into her mouth, a familiar sensation washing over her. "Is this food made by Gi-kun? Why do Itsuki and Akiko have food made by him?" Chaotic thoughts flashed through her mind like lightning. Her gaze focused entirely on her sisters. "Hee, Nino, the rice ball tastes good, right?" Akika's eyes shifted slightly as she subtly changed the subject. "We were saving it for a late-night snack yesterday, but when we saw you hadn't come back, we didn't feel like eating. Now that you're back safe, we thought we'd have our snack." "Come on, this was made by Gi-kun, wasn't it? Why do you have his bento?" Using her phone's light, Nino spotted a lunchbox at the edge of the sink. Her piercing gaze made Itsuki and Akika realize they couldn't hide it anymore. They had no choice but to explain everything from start to finish. "So Miku has no idea about this, right?" Nino's contemplative expression made the two of them pale. Secretly eating a bento prepared by someone else's boyfriend behind their back was outrageous and unethical. If they couldn't explain it clearly, it could easily damage their sisterly relationship. Nino's silence made the two even more anxious. Akika, mistakenly thinking she was considering how to tell Miku, quickly said, "Nino, I'll go confess everything to Miku right now." "Wait." Nino interrupted. She savored the plum fragrance in the rice ball. It was identical to what she had eaten at Gi's house before. But what was this thrilling sensation from eating in secret? Her legs rubbed together, a tingling sensation spreading through her body. Guilt and excitement entwined in her mind, painful yet incredibly pleasurable. "Well, it does taste good. There's no need to explain to Miku." Itsuki and Akika's eyes lit up with hope at these words. After all, once she's with Gi-kun, she can eat whenever she wants. Besides, we're quintuplets, there's no need to be so particular about sharing. Nino's words were like heavenly dew, instantly relieving the two. "Let's keep doing this in the future. I'll help you cover it up. As for Miku, we'll find a way to make it up to her." The dark, uncertain look in her eyes went unnoticed by the two other girls. They thought Nino was doing this out of reluctance to hurt their relationship. Little did they know that Nino was caught in a whirlpool of guilt and excitement. The quintuplets had sworn to be together forever, agreeing that everything should be shared, or at least allow for fair competition. Miku and Gi's relationship wasn't set in stone yet. Would it be okay if she competed fairly too? Despite these thoughts, Nino felt guilty and lacked confidence. She couldn't even look her sisters in the eye. Yet the desire in her heart was boiling, impossible to conceal. If she could truly suppress this desire, she wouldn't have gotten up in the middle of the night. "Wha? Nino. I knew I wasn't wrong about you." Akika hugged her warmly, but Nino gently pushed her away. Tucking her hair behind her ear, she turned and said, "Carry on, but don't forget to clean up for Gi-kun. After all, cooking is quite tiring." "No problem," Itsuki promised solemnly. Though it was unfair to Miku, they reasoned that once she and Gi got together, she'd be able to eat as much as she wanted. However, the usually gluttonous Akika watched her retreating figure with a thoughtful expression. Was it just her imagination, or had Nino and Gi's relationship become closer? Perhaps it was because he had found her last night. She shook her head, not delving deeper into the reasons. Friday arrived swiftly. As the final bell rang, the cloud of resentment that had hung over Sobu High School lifted considerably. Gi and Miku took their usual stroll through the shopping district before saying goodbye at the apartment entrance. Hidden from view, Itsuki and the others blushed as they watched the couple's farewell kiss. Nino, however, felt an inexplicable tightness in her chest witnessing the seemingly ordinary scene. "I'm getting my nails done with a classmate, so don't wait for me for dinner," Nino said casually, pretending to scroll on her phone. "Don't be out too late like last time," Akika reminded her, recalling the previous incident. "I know," Nino replied impatiently, waving her hand in irritation. With that, she departed. Gi, having parted with Miku, stood at the street intersection. "Cook? No ingredients in the fridge. I guess I'll go beat up that Soma kid instead." He had initially planned to cook, but after some consideration, decided to eat out at Yukihira restaurant. Buying ingredients, washing vegetables, cooking, cleaning dishes, tidying the kitchen, just thinking about it felt too troublesome. As he was about to set off, a familiar voice caught his attention. Chapter 23, Shopping at the Supermarket. Irao's shock. "Gi-kun? Nino's voice suddenly came from behind. Gi turned to see a beautiful, lively figure. Her smooth cherry red hair fell gracefully, tied with a black butterfly ribbon. A faint fragrance emanated from her. She wore black round-toe leather shoes and pure white stockings that accentuated her shapely legs and perfect figure. Compared to when he last saw her, Nino seemed shyer now. Even from a distance, he could clearly see the blush on her cheeks. Gi-kun, what a coincidence. Are you heading home? Nino asked, twirling her hair with her index finger, seeming conflicted and hesitant. Ah, no, I was planning to find a restaurant for dinner. His words made her pause slightly. She asked in surprise, with your excellent cooking skills, do you still need to eat at restaurants? The culinary standards of ordinary restaurants couldn't compare to his at all. Logically, he should have very high standards for food. There's not much in the fridge, and I'm too lazy to go shopping. Oh, I see. Hearing his explanation, Nino immediately showed understanding. She approached him with light steps. Well then. Why don't I go with you to the supermarket to stock up on ingredients? As thanks for your care yesterday, if you don't mind, I could cook today. It should be better than an ordinary restaurant. After saying this, she felt her face burning. What was she thinking? Inviting him to go shopping without telling Miku. If Etsuki and the others found out, it could lead to trouble. Gi considered the offer. Nino was primarily responsible for the quintuplet's daily meals. While her cooking skills might not match his own, they were likely quite good. Alright then. His response made Nino's heart soar with joy. They set off side by side towards the supermarket. Gi experienced the joyful life of being treated by a young, wealthy woman. Before he could even make a move, Nino had already paid. According to her, since it was to repay his kindness, she absolutely couldn't let him pay. The two leisurely walked through the supermarket, buying quite a few ingredients. Looking at the figure beside her, Nino's heart swelled with excitement and warmth. Wasn't this the married life she had dreamed of? She secretly observed his profile. Despite being particular about appearances, she couldn't find any flaws. The only thing that worried her was that he wasn't her boyfriend. Gi walked to the refrigerated section, selecting suitable pork cutlets. Nino took a deep breath, trying to calm her racing heart. Then, pretending to choose pork cutlets, she moved closer to him. Gi-kun, how's this cut? I'm not very knowledgeable about this. Her uncontrollable nervousness made her voice tremble along with her heart. Gi looked at the small head in front of him, the delicate figure half leaning into his arms. Even as a transmigrator with self-awareness far beyond ordinary people, he couldn't help but think, does she like me? Or this is some kind of fidelity test? His fingers twitched slightly, but he still didn't raise his hand. This was a supermarket, after all. If classmates saw this, things with Miko would be over. At the very least, they should go somewhere more private. Meanwhile, Iroha Ishiki, also selecting ingredients in a supermarket, passed by the shelf. She glanced towards the refrigerated section at the back. Gi and Nino's figures immediately caught her eye. Gi-senpai and Miku-san? Their relationship is so good. Don't they get tired of being together every day? Ugh, those lovebirds. Iroha didn't linger. After all, why would she third wheel a couple's date? But after a few steps, she suddenly stopped. The image of the figure next to Gi kept replaying in her mind. Miku-san? Wait, where are her headphones? Realizing something was amiss, she decisively backtracked. She peered carefully at the refrigerated section behind the shelf. Indeed, not only were there no headphones, but also no black tights. Instead, the girl wore white stockings and a black butterfly hair ribbon. The eye-catching manicure on both hands particularly appealed to her aesthetic sense. Huh? That's not Miku-san? How did I say to tell the quintuplets apart again? Iroha raised her finger, her mind racing. The one who often gets manicures is. Oh. Nino-san. Suddenly, her eyes widened with realization. She clenched her fist excitedly, unable to hide the surprise and shock in her gaze. Gi-senpai. Nino-san? She muttered, why are they together? Iroha rubbed her eyes, confirming she wasn't seeing things. Nino's body was practically pressed against Gi. Could it be? She covered her mouth, stunned. It seemed she had stumbled upon an incredible secret. With this information, wouldn't Gi be at her mercy? She could have all the delicious food she wanted. Various scenarios began playing out in her rapidly spinning mind. Gi-senpai. You wouldn't want Miku-san to know about you shopping with Nino-san, right? Iroha's face flushed slightly, feeling a twinge of guilt at the thought. But she was just too excited. Unable to resist, she ducked behind a shelf, secretly trailing the pair. Gi-kun? Were you spacing out just now? Ah, I spotted a little hamster. Nino looked at him quizzically, but before their eyes could meet, she nervously averted her gaze. Her shy demeanor was endearing. Let's go with this one then. Shall we head to your place, Diki-kun? I've already told Itsuki and the others they're on their own for dinner. She tugged gently on his sleeve, guiding him towards the supermarket exit. A short while later, the two entered Gi's home. Standing not far away, Ayaroa's eyes widened, her small face a picture of shock. They actually went straight to his home? Chapter 24, Erasing Miku's traces. As the one often responsible for preparing meals for her four sisters, Nino's culinary talent and skills were exceptional. While she couldn't rival Gi's cooking, she had surpassed the average person. She invited him to wait in the living room while she cooked. Her skilled knife work and heat control resembled that of a master chef. Even watching her slender figure move about the kitchen was enough to soothe one's body and mind. Soon, the dining table was laden with a sumptuous dinner. Diki-kun, may I stay here again tonight? Noticing the darkening sky, Nino suddenly recalled how the world had changed. The hidden dangers could plunge ordinary people into dire situations. Do you need to inform Miku and the others? No. No need. I told them I'm staying at a hotel. If we're honest about it, it might affect your relationship. Her eyes flickered. How could she tell Miku about staying over? Wouldn't that be like announcing her predatory intentions? I see. We'll keep it to ourselves, then. Diki agreed without pressing further. The two sat in the living room, eating quietly like a familiar couple. Diki-kun, I encountered a zombie in an alley a couple of days ago. Sensing the tense atmosphere at the dinner table, Nino broached a topic. This was one of the concerns weighing heavily on her mind. Jujutsu sorcerers, onmyoji, magicians, cursed spirits, devils, and zombies straight out of apocalyptic movies. Such a chaotic world left her feeling uneasy and lost. Worse still, she couldn't explain it to her other sisters. Trying to do so would only spread fear. Gi was the sole exception. His power was enough to vanquish most threats. Oh? When did you encounter a zombie? It was the day I encountered the cursed spirit, in a secluded alley. You were quite fortunate. Gi replied. That zombie was likely controlled by a zombie devil and was probably searching for food. His words sent a chill down Nino's spine. Diki-kun, have you encountered such zombies before? She asked curiously. A few. They're not particularly weak, but they're not a significant threat either. The real problem is the zombie devil controlling them from behind the scenes. Unless it's eliminated, destroying the zombies is pointless. He shook his head. That zombie devil is quite adept at hiding. Is the zombie devil very powerful? As strong as a special-grade Jujutsu sorcerer? Her question made him chuckle. There are only 4 special-grade Jujutsu sorcerers in the entire Jujutsu world. If zombie devils could compete with them, we'd be in serious trouble. Most zombies are transformed from ordinary people. At best, they might be former private devil hunters, but the gap in power is still enormous. Nino nodded, not fully grasping the concept but trying to understand. She then asked excitedly, is Diki-kun a special-grade Jujutsu sorcerer? No. He answered quickly and decisively. His immediate response surprised her. But those 2 Jujutsu sorcerers before said you were special grade. Nino looked confused, doubting that they would have lied to her. There are differences even among special grades. He explained, my strength surpasses grade 1 Jujutsu sorcerers, but I'm not confident about facing the 4 recognized special grades in the Jujutsu world right now. The cursed energy from one of Sukino's fingers was rated as special grade, as was the energy from all 20 fingers. Currently, Gi only had 2 fingers stored, still too weak. I see. Nino nodded, seeming to understand but not quite. She couldn't fully comprehend the vast differences in power between special grades. But for her, Gi was already someone she admired greatly. No matter what, I believed Diki-kun will definitely surpass them. She thought, silently cheering for him, her heart swelling with pride. She glanced at his half-full plate and asked, how's the fried pork cutlet, Diki-kun? Nino watched his expression anxiously, worried it might not suit his taste. It's delicious. Hearing his praise, she beamed with joy. Just as she was about to suggest he try the other dishes, she noticed a faint mark at the corner of his mouth. It wasn't from the food. Miku's lip gloss? Her smile faded, replaced by a furrowed brow. Her hands clenched into fists under the table. Though she knew Miku was his girlfriend and that she had no right to interfere, Nino found the mark particularly bothersome. It felt like a weight pressing on her chest. Diki-kun, you've got something on your mouth. She stood abruptly, carefully wiping the corner of his mouth with a napkin. Applying a bit of pressure, she erased the offending mark. Satisfied, she smiled genuinely once more. Her gaze drifted from his mouth to meet his eyes. Time seemed to stand still. A moment later, Nino, startled by their sudden closeness, nearly jumped back like a rabbit. Sorry. I just saw some oil, so I couldn't help it. she stammered, suddenly realizing how bold her action had been. She awkwardly tried to convey that she had no ulterior motives. Her snow-white neck flushed with a faint blush, her translucent earlobes reddening alluringly. Unable to explain herself clearly, she could only bury her head silently, her heart racing. Ki-kun won't think I'm forward, will he? Why? Why couldn't I control myself just now? On the verge of tears, she did her best to avoid his gaze. This dazed state persisted until Gi went to take a bath. That's Miku's charm. He hung the charm he always carried outside the bathroom. Nino carefully approached, picking it up. She knew Miku had bought this for him. The memory of the two of them shopping that day flashed unbidden in her mind. With a pang of loss, she returned to the adjacent room. Was there really no chance between her and Gi? Miku had been the first to meet him, to establish a relationship, to have intimate contact, even to go shopping with him. She was ahead in so many ways, even in a fair competition, there would be no hope, right? But what if it wasn't fair? Erasing Miku's traces wasn't enough. What if she left her own mark instead? Once this dangerous thought took root, it could no longer be suppressed. Like weeds, it gradually occupied all of Nino's thoughts. Although Miku was ahead in all aspects, she only needed to be one step ahead. Her breathing quickened, her hands trembling slightly. She knew her behavior was wrong, but she couldn't bring herself to give up. Just this once. Sorry, Miku. Nino bit her lip, suppressing her nervousness. Then she tiptoed to the door, leaving her room. Gi was chatting with Miku when the bedroom light suddenly dimmed. After a rustling sound, he sensed a familiar faint fragrance beside him. In the dark bedroom, it seemed no more words were needed. Another sleepless night awaited. Chapter 25, Ayaroa takes advantage of the situation. Host has collected Nino Nakano, reward, Farsight. A cold, mechanical voice resonated in his mind. Two streams of mysterious energy suddenly emerged from deep within his body, converging in his eyes. The sensation was cool and refreshing, as if quietly altering the genetic structure of his eyeballs. When Gi opened his eyes again, his vision had transformed. The floor patterns in every corner of the bedroom were now clearly visible. Previously, he could barely discern the limits of his sight, but now everything was crystal clear, his visual range exponentially increased. It truly lives up to its name, though it's somewhat impractical. Farsight merely allowed him to see farther and more clearly. It was more of an auxiliary ability, incapable of enhancing combat power. What truly astonished Gi was his newfound ability to collect characters. He gently lifted the curtain, then rose and walked into the kitchen. The moment the bedroom door closed, Nino's eyes suddenly fluttered open. I actually did that with Gi-kun. What should I tell Miku? No. I can't let her know. Her face flushed crimson with embarrassment as she buried it in the bedding, too ashamed to face the world. Who would have thought that in a moment of impulse, she'd actually made a night raid on Gi? The worst part was that she knew he was Miku's boyfriend. Yet she showed neither restraint nor hesitation. Instead, she had been completely immersed in the thrill of the illicit act, unable to extricate herself. Just as she was about to move, overcome by embarrassment, she suddenly felt sore all over. Her eyes fixed blankly on the bedsheet lying not far away on the floor, certain that a bright red mark stained it. She knew, with painful clarity, that there was no turning back now. Though Miku had many firsts with Gi, his first shopping trip, first goodbye kiss, and more, Nino realized she only needed to win once for it to matter. As her gaze wandered, she noticed the charm on the bedside table again. It was a peculiar thing, identical to the one she'd seen last night. Then, she had felt only deep dissatisfaction, tinged with jealousy and envy. Now, her feelings were entirely different. She even felt inclined to pick up the charm and admire it carefully. Am I being too unfair to Miku by doing this? Miku's face and their shared childhood memories involuntarily flooded her mind, stirring an indescribable feeling of guilt. Yet, even if she could turn back time, Nino knew she wouldn't regret her actions. Creak. The bedroom door opened. Gi entered, carrying a carefully prepared breakfast. How are you feeling? I'm okay. Nino replied shyly, pulling the bedding to cover herself. Despite the intimacy they'd shared, the girl's bashfulness was endearing. About Miku. Let's keep it from her for now. We shouldn't make her sad. Nino interjected, her voice and heart trembling slightly. Compared to Miku's feelings for Gi, hers were still nascent. Although she had achieved this victory through questionable means, she worried he might not be able to forget her sister. The thought of being abandoned by him made Nino's face suddenly pale, her smile becoming forced. Gi sensed her uneasiness, though unaware of its source. Then, I'll be in your care from now on, he said softly, embracing her gently. Nino's eyes welled with emotion. I should be the one saying that. This humble Nino will be in your care, Gi-kun. The faint cherry blossom scent of her hair filled his senses. As he held her soft, fragrant form, Big G down there started to rise. "Gi-kun, not now," Nino murmured, her face flushing. Her body hadn't yet recovered. Gi considered using his reverse curse technique to heal her, but Nino acted first. She lowered her head, surprising him by attacking Big G. He inhaled sharply. Typically, Nino presented a strong-willed, tsundere facade to protect her sisters. In truth, she was far more sensitive. With her guard down, she became earnest and easily flustered. This bold move caught Gi off guard. Yet, how could he resist such an opportunity? His hand found her crimson locks, gently guiding her in her ministrations. As time passed, the atmosphere settled into a calm quietude. Gi employed his reverse curse technique to heal her body. Once she regained her mobility, Nino didn't linger at his house. Her phone was likely inundated with messages from Itsuki and the others. Given her previous escapade and her audacity to stay at a hotel, she should have returned by daybreak at the latest. Left with no alternative, she hailed a taxi and returned to the luxury apartment. Meanwhile, Ayaroa, concealed in the shadows, witnessed her senpai exiting Gi's house. A devilish smile gradually spread across her face. He. My early morning stakeout wasn't in vain. Humphrey, I originally thought senpai was a paragon of fidelity. To think he'd hook up with Nino senpai, truly, you can't judge a book by its cover. Noticing Gi about to return inside, she hastily emerged from her hiding spot. Senpai. Her voice, sweet as honey, reached his ears. With an adorable smile plastered on her face, Ayaroa swiftly approached him. What a coincidence, senpai. I just saw Miku-senpai leave. She must have stayed the night, right? The relationship between Gi-senpai and Miku-senpai is truly enviable. I happened to be jogging by, and now I'm exhausted and hungry. She ran up to him, her large eyes blinking rapidly, as if hinting at something. Oh, jogging by? I thought that fool who's been crouching in the bushes since 7 this morning, hungry all the while, was you, Kuhai. Ayaroa's smile faltered slightly. That fool was indeed her. What the hell? She was certain senpai hadn't looked her way. How did he discover her? Ha. How could that be? Who would skip breakfast and stay hungry from 7 in the morning until... Damn it. Senpai, if you knew, you should have said something. Her laughter gradually faded. Her legs were nearly numb from crouching. Had her senpai been making a fool of her this entire time? Humphrey, senpai, let's be frank. The one who just left wasn't Miku-senpai, but Nino-senpai, right? Gi senpai, you wouldn't want Miku-senpai to know about your affair, would you? Chapter 26, Baiting has a better cost-performance ratio. If anyone else knew Gi-senpai's secret, they'd surely use it to threaten him and ruin his reputation. But as his junior, I'd never do something so despicable as to exploit someone's weakness. However, I've been jogging to lose weight lately, and I often lack an appetite. It's such a bother. Gi-senpai, any suggestions? Ayaroa, transformed into a little devil, looked at Gi expectantly. Her face might as well have read, please cook a meal for me. Employing both carrot and stick, blending softness with strength while feigning natural cuteness, no wonder she'd later become the manager of Sobya High School's soccer club. Ayaroa-chan, have you forgotten whose home this is? How can you just waltz in and try to negotiate? Aren't you worried something unpleasant might happen? The surrounding paths were deserted. A damp, cold breeze brushed against their skin, making them instinctively straighten their backs. Haha. Senpai. You wouldn't do anything improper to your junior, right? Realizing the situation had turned precarious, she took 2 steps back. Having observed for hours, she knew how deserted this area was. With the recent spell of continuous rain, who'd be out wandering around? That's hard to say. I originally wanted to interact with you as a gentle senpai. But since you've discovered it, I guess I can't pretend anymore. If this had happened 2 days ago, Ayaroa would have thought he was joking. But now, Nino had already proven it with her actions. The Gi before her was a predator. Her high spirits vanished, and she suddenly felt her heart skip a beat. Watching him approach, she turned to flee. But Gi caught her with one hand and pulled her directly to his side. Just as she thought she couldn't escape, he didn't continue. Instead, he asked, where did you get that bracelet on your wrist? Huh? Ayaroa's thoughts were a jumbled mess. Gi released his grip, and she immediately retreated 4 or 5 steps. Stop running. If I truly intended harm, you'd already be in trouble. He said flatly, glancing at her. She realized she'd been tricked and puffed up her cheeks, but didn't dare provoke him further. This is a blessed bracelet from the Senko Shrine. They say the gods blessed it to exorcise evil spirits. Ayaroa held up her wrist vigilantly. Humphrey. It might even drive away the evil in your heart, senpai. She raised her chin, attempting to exorcise him with the bracelet. Don't trust those dubious shrines. You should discard that bracelet, it might attract filthy spirits. With his farsight ability, Ki clearly saw the bracelet's prayer beads. The beads bore strange engravings and a golden fox design, similar to the technique sealing stuck in his fingers. However, this seal was fragile. Once it failed, the power within would burst forth. Inside wasn't cursed energy, but the power of evil spirits. Iroha clearly didn't understand. She examined the bracelet, then looked back at him. Suddenly, she had an epiphany. Ki-senpai. Are you subtly showing concern for me, hoping to confess your feelings? I'm sorry, but while you're handsome, being a playboy is unacceptable. It's impossible. She stepped back and bowed, rejecting him skillfully. Unfazed by this friend-zoning, Ki simply said, suit yourself. Let's exchange contact information. It might be useful later. Since she didn't believe him, further persuasion was pointless. Better to use her as bait. Persuasion wasn't ineffective, but baiting had a better cost-performance ratio. It might attract valuable evil spirits worth collecting. Iroha hesitated briefly but exchanged contacts. Senpai. Won't you let me keep your secret? The persistent girl asked. If it leaks, I'll come for you, whether it's your fault or not. Ki's gaze swept meaningfully over her youthful figure. Senpai. How can you act like this? I completely misjudged you. Her face flushed crimson as she quickly raised her hands to shield herself from his gaze. With a casual wave, Ki turned and bid her farewell, heading home. Disappointed at not getting the meal she'd hoped for and instead being threatened by her jerky senpai, Iroha ran her fingers through her disheveled hair, feeling deflated. Humphrey, even if evil spirits do appear, they'd surely devour you first. What malevolent entity could resist a cute, beautiful girl like me? Shaking off her muddled thoughts, she set off for home. Meanwhile, back at the luxurious apartment, Nino returned safely, greeted by a disgruntled Akiko who had been waiting for some time. You warned us against going out a couple of days ago, yet you stayed out all night yourself, she said, her tone laced with discontent. Caught off guard, Nino smiled sheepishly. It was unexpected. Who knew a manicure would take so long? I'll try to avoid it in the future. Avoid in the future? I'm dying of hunger here, Nino. Yotsuba whined, sprawled weakly on the sofa, her usual energy depleted. Nino's eyes widened in disbelief as she noticed her listless sisters. Don't tell me you haven't had lunch yet? Itsuki and the others exchanged awkward smiles. With a sigh, she massaged her temples and made her way to the kitchen. I really don't know how you'll survive without me in the future. Hee hee. We're quintuplets. We'll never be apart. Yotsuba mustered her remaining strength to raise an arm and shout. Nino's body trembled slightly. She retrieved some cookies from the cabinet and began brewing tea. Here, have these to tide you over. I'll check what ingredients we have in the fridge, she said, turning towards the refrigerator. Green tea? Nino, don't you prefer black tea? Itsuki asked, surprise evident in her voice as she caught the aroma. Miku favored green tea, while Nino typically opted for black, a preference that often sparked playful bickering between the two. Nino had never willingly brewed green tea before, and had even opposed it at times. Even Miku glanced up, eyeing her sister's back with curiosity. Black tea's become a bit cloying lately. Green tea has its own unique charm. Nino replied vaguely, her flickering eyes hidden from her sisters. Miku inhaled the subtle fragrance, a satisfied smile playing on her lips. Nino, you've finally developed some taste. Nina remained silent, her mind secretly contemplating various dishes that Miku enjoyed. Chapter 27, Senior. Save me. The gloomy clouds gradually dispersed. Pristine moonlight pierced the night's veil, cascading upon the earth. In dim alleys, eerie shadows occasionally gnawed on flesh. Dazzling neon lights shone quietly like beacons on the sea's surface. Could Ki-senpai have been trying to scare me? He hasn't sent a single message in ages. As Iroha prepared for bed, she instinctively glanced at her phone screen. Contrary to her expectations, this playboy senpai hadn't made a move. She'd thought he asked for her contact information to get closer to her. Originally, she planned to play along and then teach him a lesson, to show him not all girls were as easily fooled as her senpai Nino. But it was as if he'd completely forgotten about her. The bracelet really attracts filthy things? Her gaze involuntarily focused on the bracelet on her wrist. It was an exorcism bracelet made of consecrated prayer beads. It was said to ward off evil spirits, dispel curses, and have extraordinary effects. To think that fickle senpai would try to deceive me with such methods, no way. After all, the Sanko shrine she'd passed was bustling with worshippers. How could it be fraudulent, let alone attract filth spirits? Although Iroha didn't believe in these things, she still picked up her phone. She searched for news about the shrine, trying to put her mind at ease. Huh? Why can't I find any news about it? The search page showed no results. This instantly woke up the drowsy girl. Could it be that the Sanko shrine isn't very famous? This conjecture had barely surfaced when she dismissed it. That day when she climbed the mountain to burn incense and pray, she clearly met quite a few people. With such a scene, how could it not be famous? Iroha persisted in searching but still found no information. She sat up in bed and used a map app to search for the address. Finally, she found the shrine where she'd previously burned incense and prayed. The map app also included a photo and comment from a visitor. The Sanko shrine, bustling with worshippers just over a decade ago. Unfortunately, strange occurrences began to plague it later. First, the shrine's guardian priestess mysteriously disappeared, then the exorcist medium vanished without a trace. Over time, the Sanko shrine became an eerie place shunned by all. Revisiting the old site today, apart from the overgrown weeds and lack of visitors, the scenery is actually quite nice, perfect for enjoying the sunset. Below the comment was a selfie with the shrine gate and the setting sun. The beautiful sunset scene gave a sense of peace and tranquility. The photographer was a young woman with a radiant smile. Why is this picture so blurry? Rubbing her tired eyes, Iroha squinted at the unclear photo on her phone screen. In the sunset's glow, a shadow seemed to loom behind the photographer. At first, she attributed it to eye strain from prolonged phone use. But as she focused, the blurry image gradually sharpened, revealing a massive, imposing golden fox. The enormous fox's head hung limply on its neck, appearing disjointed from its gigantic body, as if it had been dead for ages, yet its corpse stood eerily upright. This spine-chilling sight startled Iroha so much that she dropped her phone. What was that? Was Gi-senpai right? Does this bracelet really attract filth spirits? She glanced at her wrist, where the golden fox pattern had already faded. Her eyes, however, couldn't discern anything unusual. Summoning her courage, Iroha retrieved her phone and continued scrolling. The second picture featured the same photographer, but focused more on the sunset, shot from a low angle. The fox was still visible, its golden body bathed in the yellowish glow of twilight. This time, the fox's head was completely twisted to the side, as if something had violently snapped its neck. It appeared utterly lifeless. When the third picture appeared, Iroha froze in terror. Another sunset photo, same photographer. But now, the golden, gigantic fox had been torn open from the middle like a costume, revealing a horrifying monster with bulging eyes. A bone-chilling coldness coiled around her spine like a venomous snake, poised to deliver a fatal embrace. After what felt like an eternity, Iroha regained her composure. Glancing at her phone again, she saw only a peaceful scene. The golden fox and the terrifying monster seemed to have vanished, as if they were mere illusions. It's fake, right? I must be hallucinating from stress. She wrapped herself tightly in her quilt, curling up in the corner. She intended to stay like this until dawn, but a warm sensation surged in her abdomen. What should I do? I need to use the bathroom. Iroha gazed at the pitch-black room, feeling secure only beneath her blanket. She squeezed her eyes shut, but they fluttered open moments later. Damn it. Why did I have to move out and live alone? After a brief hesitation, she reluctantly climbed out of bed. She flicked the bedroom switch, but the light bulb remained stubbornly dark. Seriously? Of all days for it to break. Her face contorted with desperation. After a beat of silence, she used her phone's flashlight to guide her way out of the room. The empty living room was pitch black, seeming to teem with unseen presences. Though she knew it was just her imagination, Iroha couldn't shake her fear. As she crept towards the bathroom door, a sliver of moonlight caught her eye. The curtains at the hallway's end weren't fully drawn. Pure white moonlight seeped through the gap, like a mother's gentle hand soothing away fear and unease. I'm just scaring myself silly. There's no such thing as ghosts. Her heart rate slowly steadied as she approached the window. She yanked the curtains open, eager to bask in the moonlight's serenity. But instead of tranquility, she found herself face to face with a ghastly female apparition, its neck bent at an unnatural angle as if hanged. Iroha's smile froze, her face a mask of terror. You can see me? The ghostly whisper sent shivers down her spine. With trembling hands, Iroha slowly closed the curtains. Then, in a burst of panic-fueled speed, she bolted back to her bedroom, dove under the covers, and frantically typed on her phone. Senpai. Save me. Kama Chapter 28, The Spirit-Devouring Talent, Gi-senpai, Philandering Playboy. The simple response exuded an air of aloofness. Gi hadn't expected his baiting to be so effective. Hovering in midair, he gazed down at the dazzling neon lights of Chiba City. His eyes, endowed with far sight, locked onto an apartment building. An evil spirit hung suspended, its neck bound by ghostly ropes. Its bulging eyes, frozen open even in death, stared fixedly at a window. Without a doubt, he knew that must be his unfortunate Kohai's home. "You can see me. You can see me. You can see me." The increasingly shrill and mournful screams penetrated the walls despite their decent soundproofing. Inside, Iroha curled up in her bed, trembling in fear. Ki's phone vibrated frantically, as if bombarded with text messages from an unknown sender. "Iroha Ishiki, Kohai, Ki-senpai. Don't scare me. Even a peep would be fine, that female evil spirit's voice is so close. Am I done for? What? I'll never call you a philandering playboy senpai again, Ki-senpai. If you receive this message and come here, remember to change my pajama pants. I want to look decent when I'm found. If senpai can't resist, you can take advantage while I'm still warm. But I suggest it's better not to, it'd be hard to explain to the Chiba police." A flood of messages filled the entire screen. Iroha, believing her time was short, poured out her thoughts. "Ki-senpai, philandering playboy, it's touching that you're still thinking of me even when you're about to die." Seeing his sudden message, the girl, tears in her eyes, grasped at a lifeline. She immediately sent Ki her home address and basic information. "Iroha Ishiki, Kohai, senpai, you'd better not come, lest you get hurt, Ki-senpai, philandering playboy." "Okay, Iroha Ishiki, Kohai? It's a joke. Senpai. I was just being polite earlier. Please don't go. Don't abandon your cute Kohai. Wha? Come back." He couldn't help but laugh at her messages. One moment she was sending him her home address, the next she was worried about him getting hurt. He shook his head helplessly, his gaze shifting to the top of the apartment building. Even evil spirits know how to fish. This world is crazy. The ghostly rope binding the evil spirit's neck stretched to the apartment building's roof. There, an enormous, bloated evil spirit held up a finger, the ghostly rope tied to its tip swaying enticingly, luring other evil spirits. If a passing evil spirit were to devour the one dangling at the rope's end, the massive, bloated evil spirit would reel it in like a fish. Such a powerful evil spirit would be quite valuable for my collection. Ki's mouth curled into an excited smile as he gazed down. Since acquiring his innate domain, he hadn't faced any devils or curses that truly challenged him. However, this didn't mean he'd neglected honing his powers. Now, with a test dummy at hand, why not try out his new moves? Ghost Hand, Phantom Grip. The invisible ghost hand morphed into a colossal palm. It seized the massive body of the bloated evil spirit and hurled it towards the abandoned building district. Boom. Terrifying gusts of wind swept in all directions. Ki sensed the bloated evil spirit's body interfering with reality. As the ghost hand grasped it, he felt an unprecedented heaviness. The power of this bloated evil spirit had likely surpassed the special grade threshold. Meanwhile, Iroha, standing by the window, stared in shock. Though she couldn't see exactly what Ki was doing, his ability to stand in midair was proof enough that he was no ordinary person. The bloated evil spirit, having fallen into the abandoned building district, suddenly rose. It used its massive size to stir up a storm and hurled a block of reinforced concrete at Ki. Ghost Hand, Spectral Shield. Ki raised his palm, summoning the ghost hand out of thin air. It blocked the speeding concrete, suspending it midair. Innate technique, dismantle. Fivefold, descending from the sky, his 5 fingers became sharp blades, unleashing invisible slashes that grazed the abandoned high-rise's walls. In an instant, 5 gashes appeared on the giant evil spirit's waist. More dramatically, the entire high-rise was sliced in half. Ghost Hand, Ethereal Crush. As the collapsing building left the evil spirit without footing, the ghost hand clenched into a fist, raining down like a violent storm on its bloated body. In mere moments, the massive evil spirit was forcefully pummeled into the ground. Domain expansion, Malevolent Shrine. Standing tall in the sky, Ki quickly formed a seal with his hands. The Malevolent Shrine domain immediately enveloped the giant evil spirit. Like a master chef wielding countless invisible blades, his slashes couldn't be dodged, thanks to the domain's guaranteed hit effect. Be it evil spirits, buildings, or other living beings, everything within the Malevolent Shrine domain's range was subjected to endless, destructive slashes. The slashes were divided into 2 types, dismantle and cleave. These basic techniques formed the foundation of the Malevolent Shrine domain. Dismantle produced weaker but endless slashes. Cleave, on the other hand, delivered precise cuts adjusted to the target's cursed energy and strength, powerful enough to instantly kill a special grade cursed spirit. Combined with its super large attack range, distinct from closed domains, this was truly a domain born for slaughter. With Ki's full power unleashed, the endless slashes tore through like a hurricane. Even the bloated giant evil spirit couldn't withstand their fury. Boom. The entire abandoned building, unable to withstand the slashes, crumbled into dust instantly. Detected host collecting giant evil spirit, Reward, spirit devouring talent. A cold, mysterious energy flowed from the deepest part of Dgi's soul. He sensed his very essence transforming in an unseen realm. After a moment, he became familiar with the spirit devouring talent. Ghost Hand, Phantom Grip. The ghost hand reached into the distant sky, effortlessly pulling down an ordinary evil spirit. Devour Spirit. A terrifying vortex erupted from Dgi's palm. The evil spirit struggled and roared, trying to break free. Yet its body, like smoke and clouds, was drawn into his palm by the surging vortex, transforming into a sphere. The sphere was translucent and pale gold, smooth as jade to the touch. Its impenetrable interior seemed to contain a vast starry sky. Dgi raised the fist-sized spirit sphere to his mouth and swallowed it. It dissolved instantly, spreading a lingering sweetness. Chapter 29, Enhancing the Ghost Hand Gulp. The moment his atoms apple-bobbed, the spirit sphere, like jelly, surged into his stomach. It then emitted wisps of pure spirit power that fused with his body. A refreshing sweetness and deliciousness lingered in his mind, impossible to dispel. It gave him an insatiable craving. Truly worthy of the name Spirit Devourer, it's indeed a rare and precious ability. Dgi opened his blue eyes, which now appeared even deeper and brighter, almost like a clear ocean. By devouring spirits, he could strengthen his own spirit's foundation. This ability, bestowed upon him by the Spirit Devourer talent, not only endlessly strengthened his spirit but also served as an unexpected killing move. If an opponent's spirit strength was far inferior to his own, he could restrain their spirit from a distance with just a thought. Even if the opponent's spirit strength was on par with his, a moment of carelessness could result in their spirit being dragged out by Dgi's ability. Moreover, the Spirit Devourer talent could enhance the Ghost Hand. The Ghost Hand, an ability linked to spirit strength and foundation? No wonder that even if the cursed power increased, its power remained unchanged. After a moment's thought, he finally understood, the Ghost Devil is a form of spirit, so it makes sense now. Ghost Hand, Spectral Swipe. Dgi controlled the Ghost Hand, casually stirring up a windstorm. The violent gales instantly swept away all the flying dust in the surroundings. Ghost Hand, Ethereal Effect. Then, he enveloped his body with it, transforming into an ethereal state. Taking a few steps through the air, he passed through the wall and landed in his Kohai's home. At this moment, Iroha was staring with wide, beautiful eyes, still recalling the battle scene. Was she dreaming? It was one thing for this world to have unscientific things like evil spirits, but could someone explain why her senpai was so incredibly powerful? She couldn't believe what her own eyes had seen. With just a sweep of his fingertip, an entire building was instantly sliced in half. And that ability to alter heaven and earth, domain, with just a single encounter, it severely injured the bloated giant evil spirit. It even turned the entire abandoned building into visible dust. That was a sturdy reinforced concrete structure. If it were to fall on a human's flesh and blood, wouldn't it slice them in two? Possessing such terrifying destructive power, wasn't it comparable to a missile? If this was just shocking, what followed was truly terrifying. Her beloved senpai, Dgi, actually swallowed an evil spirit alive in front of everyone. An evil spirit. That was an evil spirit, for heaven's sake. What normal human could accomplish such a feat? Could it be that his identity wasn't actually human? But rather a powerful evil spirit hidden in the bustling city, hunting for blood food. This time, exchanging contact information with her was just to use her as food. No wonder Dgi-senpai has such amazing culinary skills. His real intention must be to fatten me up, coat me in breadcrumbs, and deep fry me in oil. After all, a cute young girl like me, with my delicate meat quality, must be very popular among evil spirits. All sorts of terrifying conspiracy theories emerged from the depths of her mind. Wah, I don't want to die. Iroha, her legs trembling, forced a smile that looked more like a grimace. Dgi-senpai. She tried her best to make her voice sound sweet, but intense fear caused it to tremble and choke with sobs. What's wrong with you? Looking at the rescued girl's strange expression, Dgi took 2 steps back, subtly distancing himself. He guessed she might have been frightened out of her wits by the evil spirit. Iroha, who had been sorrowful just moments ago, saw him suddenly step back with disgust all over his face. Her sorrowful emotions came to an abrupt halt. Indeed, he was still the same stoic senpai she remembered. Senpai, why? Why can you swallow evil spirits alive? After a moment of hesitation, she finally asked the question weighing on her mind. Dgi was slightly taken aback, realizing he might have scared his Kohai. He clasped his hands behind his back, an aura of mystery surrounding him. Evil spirits run rampant, monsters wreak havoc in the world. Enduring hardship is outdated, even eating people can't make you rise above others. Only devouring evil spirits is the true way to survive. Watching his pacing figure, Iroha was both impressed and confused. So only by eating evil spirits can one become stronger? Senpai, I want to eat evil spirits too, please let me follow. It's fake. I was just kidding. Before she could finish speaking, her grand aspirations were stuck in her throat, unable to go up or down. Senpai. Ayaroa stomped her foot in embarrassment and annoyance. She knew that this fickle senpai was a big liar. Is the light broken? Dki flipped the switch, but no light came on. The entire living room and bedroom remained pitch black. Senpai, thank goodness you came in time, otherwise you would have lost a cute, obedient, and very well-behaved Kohai. Yes, although I saved a cute, obedient, and very well-behaved Kohai, I also lost the opportunity to strike while the iron was hot. At the time, thinking she was facing imminent death, she had been a bit reckless with her messages. Now that he brought it up again, she felt mortified. And what did you mean by changing your pajamas? Hearing this, her face suddenly flushed. No wonder she had felt like she was forgetting something. Senpai. Wait. Don't come over, let me change clothes first. Ayaroa's face flushed crimson as she hastily retreated to her bedroom. Moments later, she emerged, having not only changed her pajamas but her entire outfit. Are you going out? Of course. I'm spending the night at your place, senpai. Ayaroa declared proudly, puffing out her chest. Her matter-of-fact tone almost convinced Gi he had agreed to this arrangement. Senpai, you wouldn't have the heart to abandon your cute Kohai, would you? She looked at him pitifully, forcing out 2 tears. After such a terrifying encounter, she couldn't bear to stay alone. Though following her senpai might result in losing her hymen, dude, what the, it seemed preferable to the threat of evil spirits. Gi considered for a moment before silently acquiescing. With matters settled here, he was ready to return home. He approached Ayaroa and effortlessly scooped her up in a princess carry. Just as he was about to employ his skywalking ability, Ayaroa spoke up. Senpai. Won't Nino-senpai and Miku-senpai be jealous if they find out you're holding me so intimately? Hearing her affected, weak tone, his lips twitched slightly as he strode through the air. Chapter 30, Nino-senpai has fought here before. Senpai works so hard and has to hunt evil spirits to maintain order. Yet Nino-senpai and Miku-senpai don't know how to be considerate of you. Unlike me. If I were senpai's girlfriend. As Ayaroa spoke, feigning fragility, she secretly raised her eyelids, trying to discern his true thoughts. The result was greatly disappointing. Gi's expression hardly changed at all. Facing his cute Kohai's coquettish behavior, he seemed unmoved. TCH. Ayaroa pouted in disappointment, then quickly resumed her cute and innocent expression. However, she couldn't conceal her inadvertent bewilderment. Who could have imagined that the fictional evil spirits from movies were actually real? And there was her senpai Gi, countless times more mysterious than ordinary evil spirits. On the surface, he was an excellent second-year student at Sobya High School. But in secret, he was a mysterious figure who slayed monsters and devoured evil spirits. He could unleash unbelievable destructive power in an instant and even walk on air as if on solid ground. A comfortable cool breeze caressed her skin, and dazzling neon lights shone brilliantly. This was scenery she had never seen before, or rather, would never see in the future. If Gi were single, she would pursue him without hesitation. But this fickle senpai was clearly dating Miku and had an ambiguous connection with Nino among the quintuplets. The relationship was already complicated enough. If she were to get entangled in it, Ayaroa didn't dare imagine how the situation would unfold. If a love polygon were to occur, could I beat the quintuplet senpais? Lost in thought, she suddenly came to her senses. It was too scary. Her mind had actually dared to think in that direction. Forget it, things don't always go as planned. The current situation still depends on Gi-senpai's thoughts. If he really wants to, I'll just consider it as being bitten hard by an evil dog. Just as she was in this internal struggle, Gi had already brought Ayaroa down to his home, into his living room. The room next door is still empty. You can go rest there first. The same room where Nino had first slept had just been cleaned, and all kinds of daily necessities were available. Oh, is this where Nino-senpai fought? Ayaroa poked out her little head and carefully examined the room's decoration. Her words made Gi's face darken. He felt that this Kohai's courage seemed to have increased quite a bit. She was about to step into the room but was pulled back by him. Senpai. Could it be that you're already impatient to make a move on your cute Kohai? Although I'm not interested in senpai at the moment, if you insist, I suppose I could reluctantly agree. Senpai, please be gentle with me. Ayaroa squeezed her eyes shut, like a warrior calmly facing their demise. 1 second passed. 2 seconds. 3. The living room fell into an eerie silence. Realizing she remained untouched, she peeked open her eyes. Only to met with a pair of disdainful ones. Gi spoke with an awkward yet polite smile. I meant for you to clean up in the bathroom first, Then go to sleep. This room is prepared for Nino. If it gets dirty, I won't be able to explain later, so please take care of it. Suddenly grasping his meaning, Ayaroa's face flushed crimson. What's this? Even if your cute junior was scared. She's still clean. Whatever, just make sure you're clean before going in. He waved dismissively and strode towards the balcony. Senpai? Are you going out? Yeah, I'm going to catch a couple of evil spirits to fill my stomach. Though his tone was gentle, it sent chills down her spine. Could her senpai really need 7 or 8 evil spirits for each meal? Truly terrifying. Shaking her head, Ayaroa retreated to the bathroom. Half an hour later, she padded into the adjacent room. After blow-drying her hair, she nestled into bed. The simple, plain room exuded a comforting sense of safety. I wonder if senpai will attempt a night raid. He definitely will. Right? Should I refuse? Ayaroa clutched the quilt tightly, her heart racing. With senpai's abilities, I probably couldn't refuse anyway. A wave of drowsiness washed over her. Harboring a mix of anxious thoughts and emotions, she gradually drifted off to sleep. The next morning, a delicious aroma wafted through the air, rousing Ayaroa from her slumber. The sleepy-eyed girl suddenly felt a surge of energy course through her body. Summoning all her strength, she attempted to flip like a fish. Only to twitch for 2 seconds in her original position. After a moment of silence, she slowly sat up. Her clear eyes reflected the mix of resentment, dejection, and relief. Relief that Gi hadn't done anything to her. Dejection for the very same reason. The adorably cute Kohai had cleaned herself up and presented herself, yet he'd spent the night hunting evil spirits. Was this reasonable? Had her charm diminished? Ayaroa touched her cheeks, questioning her life choices. She was certain she was just as cute as before. If not for knowing about Nino's escapades, she might have mistaken her senpai for a gentleman. Could it be that Gi senpai wants to conquer both my body and heart? What a greedy senpai. She couldn't help but adopt a vigilant expression. Fantasies aside, her stomach reminded her of more pressing matters. Switching to an energetic mode, she left the room. Senpai. Your cute Kohai is here to help you. As Ayaroa approached the kitchen, she suddenly froze in her tracks. Was it her imagination, or did her senpai seem even more captivating than yesterday? She struggled to find words to describe Gi in this moment. His aura had unmistakably changed. His deep pupils resembled a vast starry sky, impossible to look away from. Every movement exuded an irresistible charm. An inconceivable thought crossed her mind: senpai could probably spirit her away with just a crook of his finger. Little did she know, this wasn't mere imagination. At that moment, Gi truly could draw out her spirit with a mere flick of his finger. Chapter 31, Praying for Blessings at the Star Religious Group. Meanwhile, in a luxurious apartment in Chiba, a curious development had occurred in the Nakano household. Nino and Miku, who had never been particularly close, suddenly seemed to have buried the hatchet, or rather, Nino had unilaterally decided to improve her relationship with Miku. Wow, this is too extravagant. Nino, why is everything Miku's favorite? Yotsuba exclaimed, approaching the dining table and marveling at the lavish breakfast. In all the time they'd known Nino, they'd never seen her so earnest. Even Itsuki and Akika, privy to the truth, couldn't help but gasp in secret. Oh my goodness. I know it feels wrong to eat the food behind Miku's back, but... Akika whispered to Itsuki, her voice barely audible, Nino's behavior is extreme, isn't it? It's as if she's become a different person. Nino had promised to make amends with Miku, but the intensity of her efforts left even the two, who were in on the plan, at a loss. It's nothing. Just practicing. Sit down, I'll make some tea. Nino said casually, waving her hand as she turned towards the teapot. As the water in the teapot gradually came to a boil, a delicate aroma of green tea permeated the room. The fresh, unique fragrance evoked images of nature, crisp mountain springs and gentle pine-scented breezes. Even Miku had to admit that Nino's technique was impressive. However, this unwarranted preferential treatment made her uneasy. It felt as though Nino had committed some unforgivable act and was now trying to atone through various means. But what could she have done to wrong her? Miku tilted her head in thought, her fingertips unconsciously brushing over her charm. Yet, she still couldn't find the answer she was looking for. Nino, you're being too biased. Yotsuba whined, rolling around on the sofa with her eyes closed. Yotsuba, don't make a fuss. Nino won't forget about you. Itsuki smiled reassuringly, trying to calm her sister's unreasonable behavior. Akika immediately chimed in, that's right. Nino's just trying something new. Once the novelty wears off, it'll naturally be your turn. Their coordinated response dispelled Miku's confusion. Perhaps, as Akika suggested, Nino was simply immersed in the novelty of it all. She picked up the green tea Nino handed her and savored it carefully. Phew. Seeing that Miku didn't suspect anything, Akika, who was secretly acting as a wingwoman, also breathed a sigh of relief. The extent of Nino's compensation far exceeded her expectations. Initially, she thought that helping to keep it a secret was the most she could do. Now it seemed she had underestimated Nino's character. But her change must be my imagination. Although she harbored some doubts, Akika didn't voice them. After all, she couldn't explain the reason for Nino's dramatic change either. The only answer was that she was making amends to Miku on their behalf. As for the other instigator, Itsuki, although she had doubts in her heart, the direction of development was positive. At least the bond between the quintuplets seemed much stronger than before. "Yotsuba, come try this dish. It's my latest creation," Nino said, using a roundabout strategy to launch an attack from Yotsuba's direction. "Oh, it's my favorite." "Thank you, Nino," the simple-minded girl exclaimed with delight. "Miku, how's your relationship with Kikun developing? I haven't seen you two together recently. You haven't had a fight, have you?" The sudden topic made Miku appear flustered. She hadn't deliberately hidden her relationship with Ki from her sisters. Consequently, not only had the four of them followed her, but it had also led to some amusing incidents. However, whenever the topic arose, it was always in a light-hearted, teasing manner. This direct questioning from Nino was unprecedented. "No. Everything's fine." After a moment of hesitation, Miku buried her head shyly and mumbled. "Nino, why are you asking about this so suddenly?" Itsuki frowned slightly, feeling the topic was too personal. Yotsuba and Akika also turned their attention to her. "Well, I came across some news on my phone last night about a highly effective shrine in Chiba," Nino explained. "I was thinking, since grandfather isn't getting any younger, why don't we all visit the shrine to pray for blessings? If Miku and Kikun are on good terms, they could join us. It happens to be Saturday today, so we could even stay overnight at the shrine. They offer guest rooms, and there's an abandoned old building on the back mountain where tourists often go treasure hunting at night. If Miku brings Kikun along, it could not only strengthen their relationship, but also make the treasure hunt more exciting." Nino pulled out her phone and showed them the information about the Star Shrine. Although Chiba residents called it a shrine, the Star Shrine was actually controlled by a mysterious cult known as the Star Religious Group. They were reputed to have extensive expertise in exorcising curses and evil spirits. Nino knew little about the Star Religious Group and wasn't particularly interested in investigating. Her main focus was on the treasure hunting game in the old building. "Star Religious Group? My classmates highly recommend it." Yotsuba chimed in. "They say someone who was previously haunted by evil spirits felt better immediately after visiting the shrine for an exorcism." Her words made Nino look at her skeptically. Shrines like this were common throughout Chiba, with many of them being fictitious or exaggerated. She wondered if the shrine she'd randomly chosen actually possessed sorcerers. "I'll have to ask Kikun's opinion first," Miku said. Although she was eager for him to join, she wanted to consider his wishes. "Try to be quick about it. We can still book enough rooms now," Nino replied casually. Meanwhile, at the same time, Gi, having breakfast with Iroha, received a message. "That's fine," he responded affirmatively. "Senpai, was that from Nino-senpai? Miku said they want to go pray at a shrine. You should finish eating and pack up to leave." "Huh? Why? Why are you kicking me out?" Iroha blurted out. "Don't tell me you actually want to stay and warm my bed?" Gi gave her a quizzical look. "No. But what if?" she stammered, gesticulating wildly. Of course, she didn't have that intention, but was her home truly safe? This time, he happened to be available to rush over. What if next time she is in danger, and Gi is busy making babies with Miku or Nino? What would she do then? She couldn't just wait to die, could she? "Senpai. Please, let me stay just one more night." "It's not that I won't let you stay, but what if Miku comes over? How would I explain?" Gi shook his head, refusing her request and making her even more anxious. Then I'll be like Nino-senpai and offer myself to you." Iroha stared directly at him, barely containing her embarrassment. The moment their gazes met, it was as if time stood still. "In your dreams, little girl." Chapter 32, The Procession of Eight Acquaintances. The ancient shrine stood tall among the mountains. The intricately carved bluestone steps, as delicate as a painted scroll, extended down to the foot of the mountain. White mist, like an enormous canvas, shrouded the entire shrine. Holding on to the red railings on both sides of the bluestone steps, they climbed up. It was as if they had suddenly entered a completely new and unknown realm of time and space. Perhaps due to the recent continuous rainy weather, the bluestone steps were more slippery than usual, and one could easily fall if not careful. The visitors to the shrine were also few and far between, pitifully scarce. Gi and the Nakano quintuplets were also enjoying the peaceful solitude. Woo! Miku, you guys walk faster, this is too slow. Yotsuba, with the best physique, was full of energy like a bird returning to the forest. While the other four were already out of breath, she seemed completely unaffected. Among them, Itsuki and Akiko were in the worst state. The former naturally had an appetite exceeding that of ordinary people, coupled with infrequent exercise. Although her figure didn't show any signs, her stamina was particularly weak. Nino, I now understand why you were able to book the guest room. Given the current weather conditions, it was really not suitable for visiting the shrine. And Miku. This is cheating. It's not fair. Why isn't anyone carrying me? I'm also weak and sickly. I want to be carried too. Miku, sprawled on Gi's back, suddenly blushed with embarrassment. She buried her little head in his collar, not daring to look up. Compared to Itsuki and the others' stamina, she was truly the weakest. Even with Gi's agile movements, she had nearly fallen several times. In the end, he simply decided to carry her on his back as they walked towards the shrine. The soft, delicate feeling of the black stockings and the majestic softness was captivating. Seeing this scene, Itsuki and the others couldn't help but tease. Stop joking about Miku, let's hurry up. Nino, pinching his clothes with her fingers, couldn't help but remind them. Letting Miku ride on his back right in front of her was already the limit. She even felt like her head was starting to sprout with vibrant colors. However, considering that Gi was still Miku's boyfriend for now, she didn't say anything, obediently holding on to his clothes as they climbed up. Suddenly, a gentle breeze from the forest swept across the bluestone path. The nearby mist was blown away, revealing two blurry figures. Sigh, are there other people choosing to visit the shrine at this time? The speaker was a beautiful older sister with chestnut-colored slightly curly long hair, exuding a mature aura and seemingly gentle personality. The figure standing beside her looked particularly familiar. Isn't that Kikun's deskmate? I remember her name is Kinko Sora. Oh. The famous genius female shogi player. The White Snow Princess of Nanaiwa. Ginko's reputation as a genius shogi player was well known. Although her personality was a bit eccentric and aloof, her talent for shogi was undeniable. The Nakano quintuplets recognized her the moment they saw her. Miku, being carried on Gi's back, also became secretly alert. Even the arms wrapped around his neck tightened with a bit more force. As if declaring her ownership. Boring. Ginko's gaze swept over everyone. Her aloof and eccentric personality made her equally disdainful of everyone. Except for Keiko Kitaki beside her, there wasn't much difference between the others. Whether it was the Nakano quintuplets or Gi. Perhaps remembering the rice ball he had given her before, Ginko's attitude softened slightly, and she stiffly nodded in acknowledgement. Seeing this, Gi also nodded in response. Kaka, who was resting, couldn't help but curiously examine him. It wasn't easy to make the aloof and eccentric Ginko take the initiative to greet someone. At least since she and the girl had become disciples of the Female Shogi Association president, Rina Shei Kondo, she had never seen her shogi sibling voluntarily greet anyone. I'm Kika Kitaki, Ginko's senior disciple. Are you her classmates? Seeing the atmosphere gradually becoming tense, Kika took the initiative to break the silence. Miku silently puffed up her cheeks, her teeth lightly biting Gi's neck. Ginko didn't show any reaction, but Nino almost couldn't hold back. That's her future husband. No biting allowed. Oh, right, he's still your boyfriend for now, Miku. But still, it's not allowed. Nino was gritting her teeth in anger, but she couldn't do anything about it. Helplessly, she could only look away, pretending not to see or care. We're Kikun's classmates, but we've also heard of Ginko-san. I see, are you also here to visit the shrine? Yes, our grandfather is getting old, so we wanted to come and pray for his blessings. I'm here to pray for my father and myself. Shall we go together then? Kika excitedly extended an invitation. In fact, whether invited or not, it made no difference. The path to Star Shrine was just this single bluestone trail beneath their feet. Walking together was almost inevitable. Then we'll be intruding. Akika, Itsuki, and the others politely said. The grand procession of 8 people headed towards the shrine in the mountains. Kikun's stamina is really amazing. Climbing the mountain while carrying someone, and not even showing the slightest strain. He must work out regularly. After walking for a while, Kika and the others couldn't help but stop to rest. At this moment, she suddenly noticed that Kyogi's breathing was extremely steady. There wasn't even a single drop of sweat on his forehead. What kind of monstrous physique was this? Kikun, I'll get down now. Suddenly realizing this, Miku hurriedly loosened her arms. His overly relaxed state almost made her forget that they were climbing a mountain. After walking for another while, the vague outline of Star Shrine appeared. By the time they reached the shrine, Kika and the Nakano sisters were already panting heavily. Not to mention the frail and sickly Ginkgo. Her fragile figure looked like it could be blown away by the slightest breeze. The majestic shrine finally appeared fully in everyone's view. Unlike the quiet bluestone path, there were still figures in the open space in front of the shrine. Isn't that Yukino-san from Class 2 Jewel? Yotsuba, who had met Yukino before, said with wide eyes. Ginkgo and Kika's gazes also focused on the wishing plaque pavilion. Who would have thought that a visit to the shrine would lead to encountering so many acquaintances? Chapter 33, Haruno's surprise. Yukino Shita's face also bore a look of bewilderment. Clearly, she hadn't expected anyone to come worship at this time. Among the 8 people visiting the shrine, 7 were her classmates. Yotsuba, don't shout like that. Itsuki quickly stepped forward and covered her sister's mouth, smiling apologetically in Yukino's direction. Standing next to Yukino was her older sister, Haruno. Haruno's face always wore a bright and cheerful smile. The excellent etiquette she had cultivated since childhood completely concealed her true thoughts, leaving others unable to guess what was really going on in the depths of her mind. However, she seemed to be facing a troublesome situation. Even Yotsuba, who wasn't adept at reading social cues, could see how tired Haruno was. The exhaustion and weakness emanating from her entire body seemed about to bend her spine, something almost impossible to imagine before. Yukino's gaze towards her sister was filled with concern and distress. Oh my, are these Yukino-chan's classmates? Haruno hid her fatigue and displayed a sunny smile. Yes, we're students from Sobya High. We've met at school before. The Yukino Shita family was one of the prominent local clans in Chiba. They had deep roots and connections in areas such as real estate development. Even the usually carefree Kika's movements became slightly restrained. Yukino, why don't you go for a walk with your friends to clear your mind? Haruno, who had been worrying about how to send her sister away, brightened up and suggested. No need. I'm not in the mood for such trivial matters right now. Yukino refused coldly, her attitude stiff. Yukino, don't be difficult. Things are different now. Sister, it's precisely because of this that I can't leave. Can't you stop being so unreasonable? The one being unreasonable is you, sister. Even though things have come to this. Over a simple suggestion, the 2 sisters had started arguing. It's worth noting that Haruno's etiquette was considered impeccable. For her to argue without regard for the family's image was quite rare. Ahem, ladies, perhaps it's time to leave now. Mimiko Heisaba, standing behind the 2, gently reminded them. Haruno, in the midst of the argument, realized her lapse and quickly composed herself. I apologize for the embarrassing display, she said, bowing and regaining her graceful demeanor. You're too kind. Kika replied, her voice unconsciously lowering as she recognized Haruno's identity. It wasn't fear of the Yukino Shita family that caused this reaction, but Haruno's outstanding reputation. At such a young age, she had already begun managing the family business. Both outsiders and friends alike held her in nearly perfect esteem. As for Kika herself, her father was Kosuke Kitaki, a top-tier professional 9-dan shogi player once considered a dominant figure in the shogi world. However, for her, even becoming a basic female professional shogi player seemed a far-off dream, despite being the daughter of a 9-dan player. Thanks to her father's reputation, she had managed to become a disciple of Rinashe Kondo, along with Ginkgo, under the chairwoman of the Women's Professional Shogi Association. Yet her junior apprentice had gradually become an idol in the shogi world, even holding the highest titles of Queen and Women's Mjin. Despite putting in countless hours of effort, Kika's shogi skills were regressing rather than improving. She found herself moving further away from becoming an official female professional player. Now, meeting the seemingly perfect Haruno Yukino Shita, she instinctively felt inferior, naturally lowering her posture. Well then, we'll be taking our leave, Haruno said, nodding slightly as she headed down the mountain. Mimiko, standing behind her, kept her head lowered, extremely nervous, as if she had seen a ghost in broad daylight. Gi glanced at her, and her body immediately trembled. It was obvious she had sensed the cursed energy on him. He remembered that the Star Religious Group was also secretly collecting Sukina's fingers. After a moment's consideration, he made no extra moves. Instead, he followed Nino and the others to their pre-booked guest rooms. Surprisingly, Ginkgo and Kika had also made reservations in advance. Haruno and Yukino walked silently along the mountain path. Miss Mimiko, thank you for your timely reminder. Mimiko Heisaba, a mysterious Jujutsu sorcerer stationed at the Star Religious Group, was following Haruno for protection, a service the latter had paid for. The Yukino Shita family had recently come into conflict with the rising Matsushita group. While the Matsushita group couldn't compete in legitimate business, they excelled at assassination, commanding a group of powerful supernatural beings. After being attacked, The Yukinoshita family had no choice but to seek help from the star religious group. Powerful Jujutsu sorcerers were rarely available, however. It would be a miracle to have them stay at the shrine for even half a month a year. Usually, only Mimiko and Nanako guarded the star shrine. These two young Jujutsu sorcerers, rumored to be orphans adopted by the star religious group's leader, possessed techniques stronger than ordinary people. Yet their power was limited, especially against the formidable opponents facing the Yukinoshita family. Mimiko had been clear, she was only responsible for basic safety. In a particularly dangerous situation, she would flee. The helpless Haruno had pinned all her hopes on the star group leader, who hadn't returned. It seemed the Yukinoshita family would have to find a way to save themselves. Unexpectedly, upon hearing this, Mimiko didn't respond. Instead, she nervously wiped the sweat from her brow with her sleeve. "Miss Mimiko, are you feeling unwell?" Haruno asked, bewildered. Since meeting the girl, she had only known her to maintain a cold demeanor. Mimiko had never looked at them directly. This was understandable. After all, she was a mysterious Jujutsu sorcerer. Her nervous demeanor now piqued Haruno's curiosity even more. "Of course not." Mimiko glared fiercely. "Next time you two sisters argue, can't you be more aware of the situation?" "I'm sorry. We won't make a scene at the shrine again," Haruno said apologetically. Seeing her sister's humble attitude, Yukino felt very uneasy. But this was their new reality. "I'm not talking about the shrine issue." "Huh?" This time it was Haruno's turn to be stunned. Besides the shrine, what else did they need to be cautious about? Chapter 34, Gi, a Jujutsu sorcerer? That boy. The one standing next to the quintuplets. Mimiko exclaimed, exasperated by her clueless behavior. Haruno's gaze involuntarily turned to Yukino beside her. Since he was her classmate, surely she had some impression of him. "Miss Mimiko Saba, are you referring to Gitsukaze? He's a second-year student at Sobu High. His homeroom teacher is Ms. Mifukirasu, his grades are excellent, and he ranked in the top 10 in this exam. He is currently dating Nico Nakano, a student from another class." Yukino, who had memorized the entire school roster, inquired. "How would I know who he is? Isn't he the only boy over there?" Mimiko rolled her eyes in exasperation. "Then it must be this junior Gi. What about him?" Haruno recalled his face, noticing nothing particularly unusual. "Hey, Junior. You're really... ignorance is bliss," Mimiko said, amused by her words. Hearing the sarcasm, Haruno's smile faded. Ignorance is bliss. This phrase alone indicated that Gi was no ordinary person. Combined with Mimiko's nervous state, it further confirmed her suspicions. "Miss Mimiko, would you mind telling me more? I can pay extra." Haruno asked cautiously, her interest suddenly piqued. "Humphrey. That Gi your sister mentioned. He's very powerful. Judging purely by cursed energy standards, he's probably special grade." "Special grade?" Haruno's pupils dilated. Beside her, Yukino looked on in disbelief. With the Yukinoshita family's influence, they barely knew about the Jujutsu world. Although they couldn't establish communication channels with orthodox Jujutsu sorcerer factions, Haruno had learned about the classification of Jujutsu sorcerers through various inquiries. From grade 4 to grade 1 Jujutsu sorcerers, these people form the backbone of the Jujutsu world. Above them are the special grade Jujutsu sorcerers, a force so rare they can be counted on one's fingers in the entire world. The disparity in numbers is extreme. Even grade 1 Jujutsu sorcerers are rarely seen, let alone special grade. Special grade Jujutsu sorcerers are rarer still, like catching a glimpse of a dragon's head but not its tail. According to Mimiko, the star religious group's leader is a special grade. Now, she was telling them that Yukino's male classmate was a special grade Jujutsu sorcerer on par with the star religious group's leader. It seemed like an impossible fantasy. But Mimiko's revelation didn't end there. "The most terrifying thing is his cursed energy. It reminds me of the King of Curses. Members of the star religious group collect Sukino's fingers worldwide." Mimiko had encountered Rayaman Sukino's terrifying aura firsthand. This kind of extremely evil cursed energy is rarely seen in millennia. She couldn't possibly mistake that aura. What puzzled her was how he had obtained it. Sukino's fingers are special grade cursed objects. Countless Jujutsu sorcerers over thousands of years couldn't destroy them, let alone harness their power. The King of Curses? Haruno and Yukino were stunned. How could a second-year student at Sobu High School be connected to the King of Curses? Yukino suddenly recalled the dancing cat she had seen outside her apartment the other night. She quickly recounted this incident to Mimiko. "Based on what you're saying, he can't be the King of Curses. But his background might be even more mysterious than I imagined." Mimiko pondered. It could be an innate technique, different from the King of Curses one. The legendary King of Curses single-handedly dominated the Han era. capricious and unrestrained are synonymous with Rayaman Sakina. Dating a student from Sobu High? Even a fool would know that's impossible. Not razing the school to the ground is already a blessing. No wonder the number of cursed spirits and evil spirits at the foot of the mountain suddenly decreased. Spirits with the strength of a young Jujutsu sorcerer comparable to a special grade. Those poor things really had it rough. Mimiko felt relieved. She had worried this Jujutsu sorcerer might cause trouble. Now it seemed he had simply come to pray with his girlfriend. She quickly sent a message to Nanako, who was staying at the shrine. Putting away her phone, she said, "Let's not discuss this further. We should leave. When Mr. Gito returns, we'll let him handle this matter personally." Mr. Gito referred to the leader Mimiko had mentioned. Gi merely accompanied his girlfriend for a visit, yet he could alarm the leader? Meanwhile, the Yukinoshita family had expended so much effort and still wasn't even qualified for a report. Haruno suddenly stopped in her tracks. "Miss Mimiko, I just remembered I haven't prayed for my mother yet. Why don't we go back to the shrine for a while?" Her suggestion made Mimiko think she had gone mad. "You don't really think that guy would care about classmate friendship, do you? He possesses cursed energy comparable to a special grade. Plus an innate technique. He's a monster who could truly make your Yukinoshita family vanish without a trace." Mimiko warned, unable to contain herself. She didn't care if Haruno was courting death, but she couldn't let his anger burn towards the star religious group. "We really are going to pray for my mother," Haruno said sincerely. Her expression was complex, but this was indeed an opportunity. Previously, she had been kept in the dark by her sister and mother, completely unaware of how intricate the world's hidden side was. Now that she knew there was a chance to save the family, she didn't want to give up. The situation with the Matsushita group was particularly strange. The local powerful family that used to fight them tooth and nail had suddenly changed their tune. They now expressed support for the Matsushita group's entry into various industries in Chiba and secretly spared no effort to rapidly expand the group. It was as if they had become puppets controlled by someone. Yet they showed no obvious signs of being manipulated. Even the Public Safety's Devil Hunter Department classified it as a dispute among ordinary people. Gi Miku. He is actually a Jujutsu sorcerer. And a special grade. Haruno's emotions were truly indescribable. She didn't know whether to envy that girl named Miku. For the sake of the Yukinoshita family, Haruno was forced to wear a mask of hypocrisy every day. No matter whom she met, she had to put on that fake smile she despised from the bottom of her heart. It had even caused a rift in her relationship with Yukino. While she was exhausted both physically and mentally, running around for her family's safety, she suddenly discovered that such people existed in this world. For her, meeting a special grade Jujutsu sorcerer was as difficult as ascending to heaven, yet others already had a handsome boyfriend comparable to one. If he were her boyfriend, who knows how many troubles could be avoided. This world is so fucking unfair. Thus spoke Haruno Yukinoshita, the young lady of Chiba's local powerful family. Chapter 35, Nino's little scheme. Damn it. How could Mimiko do this to me? Dumping such a big problem on me and then running off. The ancient shrine was quiet and peaceful. Nanako Heisaba, the shrine's guardian, wore an angry expression. As per Mr. Gito's instructions, she and her sister were responsible for guarding the shrine. They earned a substantial income by exorcising curses for ordinary people from the mountain. Occasionally, one of them could accompany others down the mountain for exorcisms. Nanako had already gone out once before. This time, it was her sister Mimiko's turn to fulfill the Yukinoshita family's request. But who could have foreseen that a special grade Jujutsu sorcerer would appear at such a critical moment? And her sister had unhesitatingly chosen to continue down the mountain. This irresponsible behavior was driving Nanako mad. Unfortunately, reality didn't give her much time to dwell on it. As she approached the shrine's main gate, she saw a large group already praying. Gi stood not far away, like a bottomless abyss. The terrifying cursed energy emanating from his body felt like a nightmare intruding into her mind. His mere presence was enough to make Nanako break out in a cold sweat. This can't be happening. It's truly the cursed energy of Sukuna, the king of curses. It's identical to the aura contained in Sukuna's special grade cursed finger. Even if it was just one of Sukuna's fingers, it was still special grade. It held an overwhelming advantage over Jujutsu sorcerers below special grade. This was not something someone of her level could contend with at all. Fortunately, this mysterious Jujutsu sorcerer showed no signs of taking action. "Oh? Tsukasa-kun, don't you want to pray?" Kaka, who had finished praying, asked upon seeing him. "Not at the moment." Gi's gaze swept across the entire shrine. He didn't detect any cursed energy emanating from Sukuna's finger. There were also no precious artifacts in the shrine that met the collection system standards. "It seems Tsukasa-kun's life is quite prosperous," Kaka remarked, watching Mika pray. Anyone could see that their relationship was out of the ordinary. And indeed, it was just as she had anticipated. As soon as Miko finished praying, she ran into Ki's arms, leaving Nanako dumbfounded at the shrine's entrance. Nino turned to witness this scene, gritting her teeth in anger. Endure it. Just consider it repaying Miku. After all, Nino, would be the ultimate winner. Miku, be a little more mindful. There are other people here. Nino said, despite telling herself to endure. Oh my, Ms. Miku and Tsukasa-kun seem to have a wonderful relationship. Haruno, who had unexpectedly returned, greeted them with enthusiasm. The Nakano quintuplets and Ginkgo were surprised. They hadn't expected Haruno and her two companions to come back, especially with such enthusiasm, a stark contrast to their previous fatigue. Miss Haruno, what brings you back? Kika asked curiously. We forgot to pray for our mother. Haruno replied with a bright smile, she's raised us alone for so long and still supports the vast Yukinoshita family. We can't believe we forgot, it's unacceptable. Perhaps we should handle fewer family affairs next time. Her words subtly revealed pride. Kika, unsuspecting, followed along. After all, the Yukinoshita family is the leading enterprise in Chiba's real estate industry. It must not be easy for you to manage such a large business. Her response was exactly what Haruno had hoped for. It is indeed exhausting. She said jokingly, sometimes I really want to marry a suitable man, but unfortunately, I haven't found a prospect yet. Such frank words made Yukino uncomfortable. Mimiko, meanwhile, just lowered her head, seemingly counting dust particles. Miss Haruno really loves to joke. Kika laughed, covering her mouth. Everyone knew the Yukinoshita family insisted on having the son-in-law marry into the family. It was unrealistic for the first daughter, and the one who was carrying the business so well, to marry into someone else's family. Haruno didn't refute this. She glanced at the unmoved Gi, immediately feeling defeated and downcast. These mysterious Jujutsu sorcerers clearly didn't care about money or family business. What could the Yukinoshita family offer to interest him? For the first time, Haruno felt unsure of herself. Noticing the close relationship between Miku and Gi made her even more envious. It's true that comparisons are odious. Well then, Miss Kitaki, are you all heading back? Haruno asked as everyone finished their prayers, her heart sinking. There had been no opportunity to connect with Gi at all. No, we're planning to stay overnight at the shrine. Kika replied, we haven't had a chance to show Ginkgo around before, so this is perfect? Haruno noticed the young girl, and memories immediately surfaced in her mind. The genius female shogi player, known as the White Snow Princess of Naniwa, Ginkgo Sora. If that was the case, then Kika must be the daughter of Kasuke Kitaki, the 9-dan shogi player. No wonder her name had seemed familiar. What about you, Nakano sisters? In the past, Haruno would have eagerly sought to connect with Ginkgo. After all, this prodigious shogi player was the disciple of Rinashe Kondo, the influential president of the Women's Professional Shogi Players Association. Establishing a relationship with either of them would have been invaluable for the Yukinoshita family's growth. But now, an even rarer and more valuable person stood before her. Oh, us? We're also planning to stay overnight. Itsuki replied, pointing at herself with a surprised expression. There's an abandoned old building in the back mountain. We can all go treasure hunting together. Akika added, sharing their plans. Nino and Miko frowned, displeased by this turn of events. Miko worried that with so many people around, she wouldn't be able to make any moves on Gi. Nino's concerns were even more straightforward. If the Yukinoshita group joined the treasure hunt, how could she scheme in the crowded old building? She had been hoping to experience the thrill of their current transgression in that abandoned place. Chapter 36, Vulgar Seriously, can't you stop blabbing about everything next time? Nino said with extreme displeasure in the guest room provided by the shrine. Akika knelt on the floor before her, not daring to raise her head after being scolded. How was I supposed to know Miss Haruno would want to stay overnight just because I mentioned it casually? Faced with Nino and Miku's stares, Akika could only respond weakly. After all, Haruno was the eldest daughter of the Yukinoshita family. From her conversation with Kika, it was clear she was very busy. But due to Akika's casual mention, she really did take the opportunity to stay. She decided to remain at the shrine for another night and even wanted to join them in treasure hunting at the abandoned old building. Nino's carefully crafted plan to promote the relationship between Miku and Kikun was completely disrupted by this single sentence. Both Akika and Itsuki could understand Nino's anger at this moment. The opportunity was right in front of them, but alas, the elder sister had proven completely useless. I'm so angry. Nino, frustrated beyond words, simply closed her eyes and fell silent. Itsuki and Yotsuba quickly ran to her side to console her. Miku pulled Akika's arm, making her sit in the chair beside her. The scene was bizarrely tense. Logically, Miku should have been the angriest person. Instead, Nino, who had devised the plan, was even more upset. Combined with her preferential treatment of Miku these past 2 days, it was quite thought-provoking. Itsuki, while comforting Nino, felt something was off. She wasn't sure exactly which part of the process had gone wrong. Whether it was Nino's or Akika's behavior, there were reasons behind their actions. While Yotsuba and Miku were still in the dark, Itsuki was clear-headed. "Don't be angry, Nino. We'll deal with Kikun after the treasure hunt is over. If worst comes to worst, Akika and I can distract Miss Haruno." Her suggestion gradually dissipated the anger in Nino's heart. Indeed. How could the 5 of them be held back by just 2 people? "Humphrey, don't do this again next time." "Yes, Commander Nino." Hearing this, Akika once again displayed a cheerful smile. Afterwards, the 5 of them gathered to discuss the night's treasure hunting plans. Meanwhile, Haruno, who had decided to stay another night, wore a grave expression. This was the Yukinoshita family's only chance to turn things around. Only with Tsuki's support would they have a chance to overcome this crisis. The problem now was how to persuade him to take action. After all, they had no personal connection, and his life was extremely comfortable. There was no reason for him to join the Yukinoshita family in confronting the rising Matsushita group. "It's time for me to sacrifice myself to save the Yukinoshita family." Haruno's gaze hardened with determination. Observing the changes in her expression, Yukino said, "Why don't you let me talk to him?" Haruno looked up in surprise, then slowly shook her head. "Then how do you plan to persuade him?" Yukino asked, cutting to the heart of the matter. "Big sister has her own methods. You're not planning to break them up, or become the other woman, are you?" Yukino's words cut through the air like a knife. She was the one most unwilling to see her sister sacrifice herself. "Don't jump to conclusions, Yukino. Besides, the family's situation is critical now. If you really insist on doing something like that, let me do it instead." Yukino's uncompromising attitude gave Haruno quite a headache. With her sister complex, how could she possibly let she do such a thing? She even regretted not sending her home earlier. "Yukino, don't be so pessimistic. Given Gikun's looks and personality, he might not even be interested in me." The thoughts of those high and mighty Jujutsu sorcerers were hard to fathom. Haruno was merely making a desperate last stand. If it really worked out, it might not be such a bad thing after all. Gi was not lacking in any aspect. Add to that his power rivaling that of a special-grade Jujutsu sorcerer, it could even be said that the Yukinoshita family would be marrying above their level. "But we can't sacrifice you to save the family." Yukino's voice suddenly rose, her control slipping. Seeing this, Haruno quickly covered her mouth and glared, "Stop this nonsense." Yukino broke free from the restraint and retorted defiantly, "I'm not talking nonsense. Rather than enjoying peace bought by your sacrifice, I'd rather go myself." Haruno took a deep breath, her gaze and emotions gradually stabilizing. "It's not that I won't let you sacrifice yourself, but this opportunity is rare." She fell silent for a moment, then thought of an excellent reason. "How does the rarity of the opportunity matter?" Yukino asked, her expression naive, not yet grasping her sister's ulterior motives. "It matters because we only have one chance. We must let the person with the most advantages take action. Otherwise, we'd be squandering the opportunity, wouldn't we?" Yukino pondered briefly, then argued, "I'm his classmate. Surely my chances of persuading him to help our family are greater than yours? Hey, do you think this family crisis is child's play? Do you believe mere persuasion can make Gikun abandon his comfortable life and confront the rising Matsushita group for the Yukinoshita family's sake?" Haruno's smile was tinged with contempt. That kind of sacrifice. I can make it too." Yukino's face flushed with embarrassment, but she gritted her teeth and spoke stubbornly. "But what makes you think Gi would be interested in you?" "Because I'm cute." Haruno's breath caught. This answer was unexpected. Sensing her misstep, Yukino quickly added, "You can't guarantee he'd be interested in you either, can you?" Seizing the opportunity, Haruno fixed her sister with a serious gaze. Yukino met it unflinchingly. Suddenly, Haruno's eyes traveled downward from Yukino's face. Her expression morphed into one of utter contempt and disdain. She then glanced down at herself, unable to see her own toes. Finally, she returned her gaze to her sister's face, sporting a smug smile. Without a word, it conveyed volumes. Yukino's face reddened with anger. She wanted to retort but found herself at a loss for words. Vulgar. 1,000 thoughts condensed into this single utterance. The spacious guest room seemed to echo with the sound of Yukino's shattered confidence. Chapter 37, Treasure Hunting in the Ancient Tower. The path behind the shrine's mountain was rugged, strewn with jagged rocks that made walking treacherous. In the moonlight, the ancient tower's silhouette loomed faintly in the distance. "Is that the ancient tower?" It's more magnificent than I imagined. Yotsuba exclaimed, perched atop a large rock as she gazed into the distance. Indeed, it is quite old. Haruno chuckled breathlessly. Ms. Mimiko mentioned earlier that it dates back to either the Han or Warring States period. I was distracted at the time and didn't catch the details clearly. Miku, previously disinterested, suddenly looked up. Are there still traces of the Warring States period inside? The stark contrast in her intense gaze startled Haruno. Standing beside her, Yukino pondered briefly, recalling that this classmate had poor grades, with history being her only passing subject. Could she be interested in the Warring States period? There should be some remnants left. This ancient tower is open to the public, but only at night. If you find any artifacts in the ruins, the shrine will give them to you directly. That's where the name Ancient Tower Treasure Hunt comes from. However, this place has been searched many times. If you're interested, Ms. Miku, you can try looking for something in the ruins. Haruno racked her brains to recall various details about the ancient tower. She wasn't sure if it was just her imagination, but she clearly felt Miku's entire demeanor change. The silent Nino quietly observed the ancient tower. As the instigator, she was fully aware of the information Haruno had shared. Her original intention was to use the Warring States period history to attract Miku's attention. Then, while the others were distracted, she planned to enjoy the treasure hunting process with Tsuki. However, Akiko had ruined it all. Nino couldn't help but glare fiercely at her. Feeling guilty, Akiko shrank back, hiding behind Itsuki. At this moment, she had to admit that her previous behavior was foolish. This Haruno's knowledge and etiquette were nearly perfect. Especially those mountains that obscured her toes, which maximized her charm. Ordinary boys would find it hard to resist this big sister type. Although Haruno hadn't spoken to Tsuki yet, Akiko had a feeling that this woman was here for him. Ms. Kitaki and Ms. Ginko, are you also here for treasure hunting? Haruno changed the subject, addressing the two less noticeable individuals. Yes, Master Sheikondo's birthday is approaching. It's said that a top-class Go player from the Han period once stayed in this ancient tower. He deliberately hid a game record here, which hasn't been found to this day. It would be quite valuable as a collectible. We wanted to try our luck. If we really find it, we'll give the game record to Master Sheikondo as a birthday gift. Keika's words caught Tsuki's attention. Haruno, who had been secretly observing him, immediately brightened up. She'd been wondering how to approach him. Oh, is Tsuki-kun also interested in shogi and game records? Haruno's question drew everyone's attention to him. Come to think of it, I haven't paid attention to what Tsuki-kun likes. Both Miku and Nino suddenly realized, recognizing this blind spot. I'm generally interested in anything with collectible value. Tsuki said with a smile. Yukino's mind raced. With the Yukino Shita family's wealth, collecting artifacts would be too easy. Shogi-related collectibles might be rare, but still obtainable. Haruno didn't speak, sensing that wasn't what he meant. Miku looked thoughtful, clearly pondering the meaning of his words as well. Only Nino quickly came to her senses. The reason was simple, she had been to his home. That neat and simple style didn't look like someone who would have collections. In that case, aren't we competitors? Kika said, her eyes widening. Ginko, let's hurry. We need to find the game record first. With that, she suddenly sped up. Ah, that's sneaky. Don't try to get ahead. Yotsuba leaped forward, catching up to Kika. Ginko, who had a heart condition, coldly watched the two. I'm going to. Akika, trying to make amends for her mistake, dragged Itsuki along as she ran off. She also pulled Haruno and Yukino with her. Tsuki and Nino leisurely entered the ancient tower. Miku and Ginko's eyes met, seeming to burn with determination. The game record is mine. Ginko said coldly. I won't lose. Miku clenched her fists, unwilling to back down. Then, the two headed deeper into the ancient tower to explore. Tsuki-kun, that bookshelf over there looks interesting. Nino pulled his hand, leading him to a secluded corner. As soon as Tsuki stopped, Nino threw herself into his arms. Her soft hands roamed freely, even more eager than him. Having Miku bite your neck, and still carrying her up the mountain with effort. Tsuki-kun's stamina is really impressive. Her light words were laced with undisguised jealousy. Before he could answer, Nino moved close to his face, and Tsuki-kun's hands never left those black stockings. I was carrying Miku on my back, of course I had to support her. Tsuki replied helplessly. Humphrey. It's clear that you didn't want to let go. Was it that comfortable? The angry girl wouldn't care about these details. She grabbed his hand and guided it under her skirt. Slowly moving upwards from the inside of her tights, the delicate sensation was captivating. Me and Miku. Which one feels better? Nino, melting in his arms, asked breathlessly, her face flushed red. Tsuki's heart raced, his ghost hand forming a wall to shield them. Meanwhile, the moon reached its zenith. Mimiko and Nanako fidgeted restlessly. Mr. Gito, when will he return? Mimiko asked anxiously. They've found two of Sukina's fingers over there, so it'll be a while before he comes back. Nanako's words plunged Mimiko into despair. An overwhelming cursed energy swirled uncontrollably around the ancient tower behind the shrine. Not only were the two girls keeping their distance, but even the surrounding cursed spirits dared not approach. Yet despite this, some fools still ventured inside. Capture the Yukino Shita family's eldest and second daughters alive, and the zombie devil lord will grant you power beyond ordinary humans. A voice commanded. Chapter 38, It's Just a Sprained Ankle Creak. Footsteps on the wooden boards sent shivers down one's spine. The decaying floorboards were blanketed in dust and scattered wood chips. The dilapidated building seemed ready to collapse at any moment. Shouldn't this building be renovated? The shrine could be liable if there's an accident. Haruno said with a forced smile while supporting the exhausted Yukino. Their exploration had yielded no treasure, and the eerie atmosphere had everyone on edge. Itsuki and Haruno were practically clinging to each other. With the building being so creepy, things must be going well for Miku. They're probably hiding somewhere together. Akika, pleased with her perfectly executed plan, felt her guilt about eating Miku's lunchbox fade away. She imagined her sister might even thank her for this. While the girl was self-satisfied, Haruno appeared restless. She had planned to have a serious talk with Ki during this treasure hunt, but Akiko had separated them as soon as they entered. Her experience made it easy to see through such an obvious ploy. This treasure hunt was just to bring Ki and Miku together. I suppose I can't talk to him now, Haruno thought, considering ways to break the impasse. Interrupting them now seemed impossible. Creak. The floorboards ahead creaked suddenly, the sound particularly unsettling in the dark, eerie atmosphere. Oh, isn't Ginkgo with everyone? Everyone sighed with relief when they saw it was just Kika. You mean Ginkgo Sora? I believe she's with Ki and the others. Yukino said, recalling when Ukiko had gathered them. Given Ginkgo's heart condition, she wasn't suited for physical activity. Akiko had considered this and kept her distance. It shouldn't affect her plans for Miku. The girl was too frail to even handle direct sunlight, let alone pose any threat to her sister. Is that okay? Ginkgo's health is quite delicate. Kika said worriedly. Don't worry, Nino will look after her. Akiko replied confidently. After all, Nino was watching Ginkgo so Miku could be with Ki. That's reassuring. Kiko pictured Nino. Despite their brief acquaintance, she seemed more dependable than the others. The confident looks from Itsuki and the others helped ease her concerns. By the way, Yatsuba's just ahead. We've searched everywhere, but there's no shogi manual. Kika said dejectedly, accepting the treasure was probably lost. It was just the shrine's promotional tactic, it's normal not to find anything. Haruno said with a smile, rubbing her sore ankle. Have you heard any strange sounds? Kika asked as she guided them forward. Haruno and Itsuki exchanged glances and shook their heads. They'd been too focused on treasure hunting and watching their step to notice anything else. What kind of sounds? Akika asked curiously. It's hard to describe. Like flowing water. And rapid breathing. It fades when you get close but returns when you move away. I started to think the building was haunted, so I came looking for everyone. Kika hugged herself as she described the sounds. Combined with the eerie atmosphere of the old building, it was spine-chilling. The tense Haruno instinctively grabbed Yukino's hand. Yatsuba, who was approaching, nodded vigorously. Yeah, I just heard it too. If you don't believe me, everyone hold your breath and listen carefully. She tilted her head to listen, and the others instinctively held their breath. But instead of the water sound, they heard a bang. What was that? Itsuki asked, dazed. Haruno's pupils contracted. A gunshot. How is that possible? This is Star Religious Group's territory. The sound was all too familiar. The Matsushita group had acquired guns and ammunition from somewhere. Even the devil hunters hired by the Yukino Shita family stood no chance, they were just one shot away, with no time to use their devil contract techniques. Using firearms so brazenly was reckless enough, but these madmen had actually pursued them onto Star Shrine's grounds. Didn't they fear retribution when the Star Religious Group leader returned? These thoughts raced through Haruno's mind as she shouted, Quick, find Gate and get out of here, that was a gunshot. Kika and Itsuki froze in shock. Before they could process what was happening, Haruno was already pulling them downstairs. On the first floor, they found Nino leaning against the wall, breathing heavily. Nino. Are you alright? Itsuki asked, her voice full of concern. I'm fine, just sprained my ankle. I've checked it already. Nino brushed away her attempt to examine her injury. But. Are you sure? Your legs are shaking. No matter how Itsuki looked at it, her didn't seem fine. Don't I know my own condition? Nino leaned against the wall, pausing to catch her breath. Thick droplets of water trickled down the inside of her legs to her ankles. Thank goodness for the old building's dim lighting. She'd have no way to explain this to her sisters otherwise. All right, but be more careful. Given the decrepit state of the building, a sprained ankle made sense. Even Itsuki had nearly fallen several times, saved only by Akika's steady hand. Did you hear the gunshot outside just now? I heard it. Ki went to handle the situation. Itsuki's eyes widened like saucers. They have guns. Could Ki really handle this? How can we let him go alone? If anything happened to him, Miko would be devastated. Itsuki rushed outside, with Kika and the others close behind. Haruno felt an inexplicable sense of relief as she followed the others as they ran out of the old building. Chapter 39, Dragon King level Shogi skills monster. This is definitely a monster. How can a human be immune to bullets? No. Don't come any closer. Someone save me. Arg. Piercing screams echoed under the moonlight. Itsuki, stepping out of the abandoned building, froze in her tracks. A thin mist of blood hung like a curtain across the mountains. The figure perched on the steep boulder was one she knew well. It was Tsukasa, Miku's boyfriend and a second-year student at Sobu High. Yet his actions now seemed utterly foreign to her. With casual grace, he traced patterns in the air with his fingertips. Like a master artist lost in his craft, he used the sky as his canvas and his fingers as brushes, wielding his power with effortless precision. Wherever his fingertips moved, past jagged boulders, towering ancient trees, or the mysterious figures desperately fleeing, his irresistible power reduced everything to dust. The wind swept away the remains, merging them with earth and forest. Only the thickening blood mist maintained its crimson curtain. Bang! One of the fleeing figures seized a chance to aim and fire. The bullet, swift as lightning, streaked through the air toward Ki. Whoosh! The bullet stopped impossibly in mid-flight, losing all momentum 3 meters from its target. Ki simply pinched it between his index and middle fingers. In the next instant, the mysterious shooter exploded. Blood and flesh scattered across the ground like a macabre flower blooming in the night. How rude, disturbing my evening at this late hour. 3 minutes earlier, while enjoying a peaceful and steamed night, he had sensed a disturbance in the cursed energy. Concerned that Miku and the others might find trouble while treasure hunting, he had entered the old building in the back mountains and released a portion of his cursed energy. This was the overwhelming power that Mimiko and Nanako had sensed in the shrine. The cursed energy provided immediate feedback whenever someone entered this area of the mountains. The moment he detected movement, he had released a focused wave of energy and discovered the threat. He had been waiting when these intruders arrived. Blinded by greed, they opened fire the instant they spotted him. This was the scene that greeted Itsuki and the others as they emerged from the old building. Even Haruno, who knew part of the truth beforehand, felt her heart skip a beat, let alone the completely unprepared Itsuki. Now she truly understood the weight behind Mimiko's description of monster. Single-handedly and effortlessly, he had taken down a fully armed team. The firearms that humans prided themselves on were sliced apart like paper. Scattered bullet casings glinted among the jagged rocks. Die. Gi-kun. Itsuki stared at the figure in disbelief. Gi waved his hand, and an invisible force swept across the area. A terrifying storm rose, carrying clouds of dust in its wake. When the dust settled, the ground between the mountains had been completely reshaped. The curtain of blood mist dissipated with the swirling dust. Gulp. Kika and the others stood speechless, frozen in shock. Weren't they all supposed to be ordinary people? How had he become something else entirely? This is... Mr. Gi is a Jujutsu sorcerer, this is normal. Itsuki's words were cut off by Haruno. She and Yukino bowed apologetically to Gi and the others. I'm sorry, these people were after me and Yukino. I never expected the Matsushita group to go to such extremes. I'm very sorry for dragging everyone into this trouble. Her apology left the others feeling dazed. Their peaceful world had been hiding such a dark side all along. Though it seemed unbelievable, Akika's eyes sparkled with excitement. It was like stumbling into a hidden magical kingdom, where a mere gesture could shake the world. To think Gi had concealed such a mysterious identity. No wonder his grades ranked in the top 10 while she lingered at the bottom. While Akika's imagination ran wild with visions of a magical realm, Itsuki and the others stood bewildered, their minds struggling to process it all. But this is too incredible. Did Nino know about Gi-kun's identity before? It was the only explanation for her composed demeanor earlier. The disappearance 2 days ago happened because we encountered some monsters. Nino finally spoke up, after wiping the last drops of water from her leg. The Nakano sisters' eyes widened in understanding, while Haruno looked surprised. She had believed no one knew Gi's true identity. Seeing the astonished expressions on Itsuki and the others' faces, Nino felt a flutter of satisfaction. This was her secret with him. Even Miku didn't know. Just as Haruno was about to continue speaking, Miku and another person emerged from the old building. "Gi-kun, look what I found." Holding a tattered book, Miku eagerly showed it to him, seeking his approval. Ginko gripped her folding fan with both hands, her eyes cold with displeasure. She and Miku had discovered the worn shogi manual simultaneously, but Miku's quicker movements had given her the advantage. With her naturally competitive personality, Ginko struggled to accept this defeat. Yet what could she do about it? After all, Miku had reached the manual first. "You really found one?" Gi asked with surprise. "Hee, it's a gift for you, Gi-kun," Miku said proudly. As his fingers touched the shogi manual, he recognized its true collection value. "You have collected a worn shogi manual that carries play tactics of a shogi master of the past. Reward, Dragon King level shogi skills." A cold mechanical voice resonated as a vast amount of complex shogi knowledge and techniques flooded into his mind. The Dragon King, or Ryo, is one of the most prestigious titles in the shogi world. It stands alongside the Mjin title at the pinnacle of all shogi achievements. "Hey, Itsuki, what's wrong with you all?" Miku asked, noticing the frozen atmosphere. Ginko, who had just walked out, also looked at Kika in bewilderment. Chapter 40, The Sudden Question. A cold wind howled through the mountains and forests. It startled Haruno, Itsuki, and the others from their daze. Ginko and Miku's questions had left them speechless. The fantastical story was beyond comprehension. Finally, Nino described the attack she had experienced, including Gi's extraordinary power that rivaled a special-grade Jujutsu sorcerer. Ginko raised an eyebrow, her expression clearly saying, "Are these people crazy?" The situation seemed utterly surreal. What caught Haruno and the others off guard was Miku's reaction. Though initially startled, she quickly composed herself. This was because she had witnessed Gi's ghost hand technique before, though she had dismissed it as an elaborate magic trick. "Why don't we all rest for now? Mr. Gi, might I have a word with you?" Haruno's deferential tone made Kika's expression turn complicated. She couldn't believe her idol would show such humility in the face of these mysterious events. As the truth of Nino's words sank in, Ginko's joints tensed. Since birth, she had dedicated herself to shogi. Her undefeated streak of 53 games in official women's matches had earned her the title the strongest woman in 1,400 years of shogi history. Beyond shogi, she pursued little else. While undefeated in women's shogi, she harbored one regret: her body, weakened by heart disease. Could the Jujutsu world offer a cure? Ginko lowered her gaze, uncertain. Yet this physical limitation wasn't her primary concern. The world of shogi still captivated her most, particularly the worn book of game records Miku had given to Gi. "Let's talk tomorrow. Enough has happened today," Gi said flatly, his interest waning. "Then we'll take our leave. We must inform the family." Haruno accepted gracefully. The delay in negotiations actually worked in her favor. Kika and Ginko departed with their thoughts in disarray. Only the Nakano quintuplets and Gi remained before the old building. "Gi-kun, is there really a Jujutsu world out there? And Jujutsu sorcerers too?" Nino said Gi-kun is a special-grade sorcerer. Akika and Yotsuba flocked to him, peppering him with questions about the mysterious Jujutsu world. Their enthusiasm had inadvertently pushed Miku aside. "Hey, that's not right. Akika, you're pushing Miku away." Itsuki stepped forward, exasperated, ready to separate them. As Miku approached, Itsuki realized something she had overlooked. Miku had spent all her time searching for the game record book with Ginko, leaving no chance to interact with Gi. But suddenly, when she tried to move her hands, Itsuki noticed they were trembling, likely an after-effect of witnessing the earlier violence. Having lived peacefully for so long, ordinary people had lost their tolerance for bloodshed. That she hadn't become ill at the sight was only due to his precise work. What Itsuki had witnessed was merely a mist of blood, not dismembered bodies. Yet even now, waves of fear washed over her. "Don't worry too much. Just think of it as stepping on an ant." Such casual disregard for life left Itsuki speechless. Perhaps Gi spoke truth. Jujutsu sorcerers and ordinary people truly were different species. With a resigned smile, she pushed the thought aside. Noting Itsuki's distraction, Akika stopped her questioning and moved to support her sister on the treacherous mountain path. "Gi-kun, you guys go ahead," Miku suddenly announced. Her legs, clad in black stockings, fidgeted against each other. "Gi-kun, go on ahead. I'll stay with Miku," Nino interjected, understanding her sister's need for a bathroom break. After all, in her mind, Gi was her future husband. She couldn't let him see Miku in such a vulnerable state, especially not in this ambiguous atmosphere. What if the two of them hit it off? Wouldn't that throw everything into chaos? Miku nodded gratefully at her sister. Though their relationship had been strained in the past, Nino had matured into a thoughtful older sister who truly cared for her siblings. With Miku's agreement, he said nothing more. His cursed energy radiated throughout the mountain range as he checked for threats, then departed with Yotsuba. "We'll wait here for you two," Akiko said, rubbing her sore wrists as she helped Itsuki settle onto a rock. Nino and Miku ventured into the dense forest, seeking privacy. Soon, the sound of trickling water broke the night's silence. Moments later, Miku emerged, looking sheepish. "Sorry for the trouble, Aku." The damp mountain breeze cut through her thin clothes, making her sneeze. "Don't catch a cold. Why didn't you wear something warmer?" Nino draped her coat over her sister's shoulders. Despite her sharp tone, her worry was clear. "I got it. Thank you, Nino." Though not the most articulate person, Miku managed to express her gratitude. "What are you saying? We're quintuplets, aren't we?" Nino's words touched her deeply. "Yes, forever and always." Miku nodded with enthusiasm. "I was too stubborn before, which led to our clashes." Nino said, "Looking back now, I should be the one apologizing. It's not just Nino's fault, I made mistakes too." Hearing her sister's sincere confession, Miku acknowledged her own part. "Will you forgive me?" Nino asked softly. "Of course. Let's put the past behind us." Miku replied without hesitation. "I mean for the future too. If I make an unforgivable mistake again, would you still forgive me like you are now? We're quintuplets. Between us, there's no such thing as an unforgivable mistake." Nino felt the weight of guilt lifting from her heart. She nodded firmly in agreement. The sisters' reconciliation filled Miku with warmth. She pulled the collar of the coat closer, wanting to catch her sister's familiar scent. "Why does it smell exactly like Gikan?"